evening, everyone. You lot watching Mugello, are you disaffected by just how appalling the MotoGP race was this afternoon? Well, we have the solution. Welcome back to a virtual Mugello for the second. My name is Dan McCalla, back with you as always. Grant Lyman is alongside me. We have a one-shot qualifying session coming up in just a couple of minutes' time ahead of a 90-minute race in these GT1 cars, which are very well suited to this 3.3-mile track around the rolling Tuscan hillside. So just a couple of minutes delay before we get the qualifying session underway. And Grant, these cars, and as we've both driven these cars extensively ourselves around this track, they really do suit Mugello very, very well.
Absolutely. We did face a lot of issues with the tyres initially when we first drove the cars around to do the initial testing, but we have found a lot of time with them. We've improved the tyre wear. However, the tyre wear is definitely still going to be a factor around here, but these cars are absolutely on rails around here. That's not to say, though, that it's not going to be difficult to drive.
Yeah, we're going to try and get it straight back trackside because Aidan Carter, who was our winner in the first round of the championship at Road Atlanta last month, and therefore he's going first in this qualifying, is already on the flying lap. So hopefully we can connect you to live footage. I can tell you he's done a 23.860 his first sector, a 26.4 second sector, which is significantly quicker than he went in practice. Here is Aidan. Now I think he was only running on the medium tyres in practice, so we would expect him to be a bit quicker. Comes through Corentai. Here's the fast left-right sweep of Biondetti. So coming towards the end of the lap now. And then this long run to the almost never-ending left-hander of Bacine, which is the final corner of Turkey. Here he comes now. Aidan did a 1:34.8 in practice. Fastest we saw was a 1:32.8 by Nathan Burton on the softs. He's definitely one to watch to come towards the end of his qualifying lap. What can Aidan Carter do? Coming up to the line now, it's a 1:32.5. That's a cracking lap. It's 3 tenths quicker than Nathan Burton managed in free practice. That's a very, very strong time by your Road Atlanta race winner and current.
Yep, absolutely. Really strong time to get us going here at Mugello. Obviously, with the lower fuel load, a lot faster than the times we saw in practice. But 1:32 straight out the bat, that's a really nice time. The track is going to rubber in each time these guys go round, so I think that's a really good benchmark.
It's a cracking time. Meanwhile, representing Scotland, here's Martin Buchan. Now, Martin was second after a spin and a couple of incidents while having a very close race with Aidan at Road Atlanta. He was fourth in practice, and he was 2 seconds off the pace, but I think he was only running the hard tyres. From what we've seen in testing here over the last couple of weeks, this Ford is rapid around the Mugello circuit. So Buchan, on paper, probably the man to beat for this one. He's on his outlap now as he comes into the second half of the lap into Scarperia and then the left-hander of Pelagio. And over the crest towards Corentai again. So we're looking at 1:32.512, as you can see in the top left-hand side of your screen there for Aidan Carter, is time to beat.
And what I found was, with these cars in particular, I did a few qualifying runs myself, I found that the best way is to have quite a pedestrian outlap and then only start pushing in Sector 3, yeah, because if you overheat the tyres going into Sector 1, these softs are very fragile.
Yeah, and Mugello, it's all medium and fast corners. There's no real hairpins as such. It's very easy to overwork the tyres compared to a lot of tracks, I'm guessing.
Yes, absolutely.
Certainly compared to Atlanta.
So it was quite a fast outlap for Martin, so we'll see how that affects him in the double right-hander Arabatia 1 and 2. So but all very loose at turn 1.
As we come up towards Duco and then Poggio Secco. So the first sector time for Aidan Carter we're looking for, 23.860. He comes out of Poggio Secco now and up to the first sector. How has it damaged him? He is, he's 700s down. So still in a hunt, comes to Materassi, Borgo San Lorenzo, over the highest point of the circuit, now sweeping downhill into Casanova, the right-hand corner. Another big slide, then a left-hander Sabelli. Buchan really pushing on, and now this is the fast uphill double right of Arabiata. Makes you hungry just thinking about it. And Buchan is hungry for this pole position if he can get it. Second sector was a 26.4 from Aidan Carter. Buchan's just coming up towards it now. It's a 26.5, so he's still down marginally. He's just over a tenth in it. Through Scarperia and Pelagio up to Corentai now. The long, almost never-ending right-hander. So difficult to judge where to pick the apex. He comes out of it now, then into Biondetti. left and then right, absolutely flat through there, and then up to Pacine. So not much in it. If he can nail it, this is still on for Martin Buchan. I think he might be a bit disappointed that he didn't get pole position here. Through Pacine, run a little bit wide, run very wide coming out the last corner. So what can he do? 132.512. So I think we get 10.42 in it. Martin Buchan, straight line, up to the line. It's a long run. I don't think he's quite going to do it. 132.7.
Yeah, it's just a little bit ragged around the first and second sector. We saw Martin really lighten up the rear end of the car, taking a lot of curb, entry curb, unsettling the car. So not the best lap from Martin, but he definitely gave it everything to try and get close.
Yeah, I think if you think he's what 0.268 of a second behind Aidan Carter, those few little bits of slides here and there probably all added up to about that amount.
Yeah,
so I think
absolutely.
It's just those little bits of ragged. You know, Aidan's a very smooth, consistent driver, and I think that's probably just enough to be the difference there.
Definitely. So Martin's not been taken off the track yet.
Well, we're watching John Dean Smith, who is taking a very aggressive view. He's pretty much going flat out on his outlap.
Well, in a minute he's going to catch up to Martin, which hopefully that goes okay. Yeah, interesting that Martin's still out there.
John Dean Smith, who was fastest for a lot of free practice, did a 133.4 before Nathan Burton bested him just for the end. That was on the soft tyre. And John did a decent run at Atlanta, I thought. I think he realised, I know he had a couple of offs and everything, but I think he realised even without them that he wasn't necessarily going to match Aidan and Martin's pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, John had the pace in practice this morning, earlier today, and has done an extensive amount of testing, lots of work on tyre management, so on and so forth. So I think we're going to be in for a really good performance from John today. I wouldn't be shocked if he steals pole.
Yeah, I'd expect to be well into the 32s here unless he makes mistakes. So over the crest down to San Donato now comes John Dean Smith in the Barracuda-backed Murcielago. Here he comes into Lucio and Poggio Secco now. And right, so 23.860, just to remind you, was the first split time for Aidan Carter. How does John Dean Smith match up? And he's up by 15 thousandths of a second. John has absolutely nailed this first sector. He's nailed those next two corners as well as he comes up to Casanova and Savelli. This is a good lap from John so far, Grant. Oh, big slide. To miss the apex, is compromised in front through Savelli. Might have lost a tenth or so there.
I do wonder if how aggressively he took the outlap has just started to overheat those tyres. That double apex right-hander there, car wasn't exactly planted, and a lot of apex there.
And he's lost 4 tenths compared to Aidan near enough in the second sector, so that's going to put him down probably behind both Aidan and Martin as he pull up something really strong out the back in this last section. Come through Corantaio, taking a lot more apex than the two drivers before him did. Comes through Biondetti, left and then right, and then line it up for Pacine. Last corner of the Mugello circuit, but I think it's going to be probably what, maybe about a 32.9, I think, after those mistakes. If he puts in a great last sector here, he could salvage it, but I think just that little bit of slide through Casanova has probably been where John has lost out. Here he comes up to the line, and it's a 133.4, so not a great last sector either. I think John might be a bit disappointed with that. It is 23 thousandths of a second quicker than he went in free practice.
Yeah,
so now we come to
off.
Being realistic. The last driver who could probably challenge for pole position, Nathan Burton, he put on some soft tyres towards the end of the free practice session. He did a 132.8, which would be enough to put him ahead of John Dean Smith and very close to Martin Buchan if he replicated it. This is his outlap, so about a minute till he starts the lap, because he's just coming into Casanova and then Savelli now. But Nathan looking good so far today.
Yeah, pretty tidy. And with John making a mistake like he did in his quali run, it'll be interesting to see if Nathan can capitalise on that.
So Nathan Burton, the last of the 3 new Barracuda Murcielagos that are today. We've still got Aaron Daly's coming in the Corvette, possibly Philip Webb, but I think he's hoping to get here in time.
Philip Webb doing the Kyle Larson attempt at getting here, basically.
Yes, without the rain.
Yes.
I think we very much hope that he does. Nathan Burton coming through Biondetti to Pacine now to start his flyer. So 23, well, John Dean Smith was the quickest in the first sector, which was 23.845. Aidan Carter's time to beat in the first sector, 23.860. There's just 3 corners there to absolutely nail. San Donato, after this long, curving front straight, about 3/4 of a mile, then this huge downhill stop as Nathan comes over the crest into San Donato, and on the left and right of Luco and Poggio Secco. Nathan's done a pretty good job there, looks nice and stable, runs the car out wide, and then he comes into Luco now. You can see he's pushing on, car just twitching slightly. Poggio Secco, maybe just mix the apex ever so slightly. Let's have a look at the split time. It is 23.841, so 19 thousandths to the good so far.
Yeah, nice and tidy there. Took a lot of curb coming down the hill. Hopefully it won't slow him down too much, but this is looking really committed from Nathan.
Almost on the grass going through Savelli. He's really, really taking the apex. Comes into Arrabbiata 1 and up to Arrabbiata 2. It's a good lap so far. Let's see how the split time, 26.459 for Aidan Carter. Burton comes up now 26.8. No, he's lost it. I think that underlines just what a good job Aidan Carter did there, because that was 4 tenths off from Nathan. It didn't look like there was immensely anything wrong with it.
No, not at all. It got a little bit ragged, I guess, when he nearly got it on the grass, but it looked really committed, really tidy. But yeah, looking like a nice clean lap, so let's see what he can do in the final sector.
Yeah, we've got a gap of 0.65 of a second between Buchan and John Dean Smith. I imagine Nathan is probably going to go into that gap. I think we're probably looking maybe about 33.1, 33.2. Comes out of Pacine, coming up to the line now. I imagine this will probably third place for Nathan Burton. Here he comes up to the line. It's a 33.3, and it is enough for third place. He's just under a 10th clear of John Dean Smith. So Carter, Buchan, Burton, Dean Smith, and barring any big surprises, that should be your front 2 rows of the grid.
Yeah, well, we'll see on how the track rubber's in, but yes, I'll be surprised if we see anyone best that. Although Aaron has been very fast in quali simulations.
And Aaron Daly, we know, generally speaking, can be very quick over one lap.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so we know Aaron can hook one up in the Corvette. Here he is, halfway around his out lap now.
Yeah, I don't think we should rule him out just yet, but we'll see how he gets on.
I would certainly expect Aaron to get this. What did he do in practice? Let's have a look. 1:35.5, although I'm not sure what compound of tyre he was on for that, so I wouldn't really read into that too much.
I've seen him in the 33s in race pace during a practice here the other night, so he's definitely got more to give, I think.
I would definitely expect him to get on a soft tyre in qualifying without a mistake to get well into the 33, so let's see if he can challenge John Dean Smith for a place on the second row.
So later in the race, when they're going through that long right-hander, the front left just screams in agony. If you use the softs through there, yeah, it's going to be wrecked by the time you get to the end of the stint.
hit the air and deliberately went very wide to try and get the best slingshot he could. Obviously, Pacine being one of the only left-handers on the track, yeah, it's not as big a problem there. Common tyre is a lot worse because it's a long corner and downhill as well. So here goes Aaron Daly onto his flyer in his Barracuda Corvette. San Donato he comes now. Is the youngest driver in the field today can do.
Yeah, no Stanley with us today. No Stanley Donaldson, so Aaron inherits that title.
Looks fairly done. He's at 24.2, so he's just over a third of a second down at the first sector. Ooh, big slide, definitely pushing on as he comes through Borgo San Lorenzo.
Just a little bit of non-compliance there under braking. It's almost like it almost looks like he's trying to trail brake the car in, but the Corvette really doesn't like that.
Yeah, it looked at face value like a little bit of overdrive.
He's trail braking.
He's had he's had 2 bites of the cherry through Arrabbiata 2.
It's going to be 27.8. I'm not surprised by that. Having to brake through Arrabbiata 2 it's just going to ruin your whole lap. It's just an ease off. You have to ease off the throttle. You can't brake through there. Oh yeah, bit of a messy one, but let's see what he can do. Will he get the title better than the rest? It's very wide on the exit there.
He's up. So he comes through Biondetti up to Pacine now, so it's going to be well into the 34s. It might even, to be honest, be into the 35. So we'll wait and see how any of the other drivers can take that lap time on. So he comes through Pacine, coming up to the line now, Aaron Daly. He's certainly not going to challenge the top 4. He comes up to the line. It's going to be the 35, 135.2. I think, yeah, I think Aaron would be a bit disappointed with that, but obviously with the race this long, he needs to play the long game.
Absolutely. I still think it's a good time, though. I think that he's recovered what could have been a very bad situation there.
Yeah. For a new driver here, Thomas Samples, just Grant, for the benefit of the audience, I hope, just explain the situation here.
So basically, teams can put any driver in the car for each round. The car scores points, not the driver, so it was more done so that we could just keep the grid consistently full throughout the season. So yeah, and it just also means that teams can find talent if they need to, or if someone has an emergency, it means you can put someone else in the car. It also means that drivers like, say, Jack Bonney could find themselves with a seat later on in the season, which is very cool to see.
Yeah, we'd certainly like to see Jack here. So Thomas's fastest time from free practice, a 1:38.5, so unlikely he's going to trouble the top of the times here. It's worth saying, obviously, doesn't have the experience of the driver at the front of the field, and also he is driving the Maserati MC12, which is known for being particularly challenging, especially for a newcomer as well. That's a fairly daunting prospect around a track like this to get used to drive the Maserati flat
It's pretty good around here, though, I will say. It's quite a nice car. The downforce really helps it through.
And I guess that didn't help it at Atlanta, which can be quite stop-start.
It's like, it didn't really have the chance to flex its wings at Atlanta, even though it was as equal as the other cars. It's harder to get through those S's compared to say the Lambo, which was sleeker, whereas here it's definitely a lot more equal. If not, you can carry a bit more apex speed in the Maserati, I found in my testing through Arabatia 1 and 2.
So Thomas getting his lap underway. We'll keep an eye on his sector times from his fastest lap in practice. He did a 24.9. 24.8 here, so he's found a bit of an improvement. Good. Comes goes San Lorenzo, and then over the crest and down into over. Managed a 29.1 second sector. The second sector line course doing just after Arabiata 2. So here he comes into the Arabiatas now, and the circuit. There we go. Lovely, the first one. Line pretty good through the second. Apex slightly. Second sector time is a 28.3. So he's found 8/10 there. It's a good lap by Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I don't know if this is Thomas's first lap on low fuel, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of time he can set with that lower fuel load.
Yes, unfortunately, information in detail in terms of tyres and fuel loads from free practice isn't available to us, so we do have to put the information from the previous session into a little bit of context in that respect. Comes up to the line now. This could be good for maybe into the 30. I'm thinking maybe 36s here. More than respectable effort for a new driver to the championship. Here he comes out of Pacine over the crest up to the line, and it's going to be high 36, low 37, 37.0.
Yeah,
so that's what, 1.5 seconds quicker than he went in practice. So,
and I would say,
well done, Thomas.
I'd say about 0.7 of a second of that will be the lower fuel load. So
yeah,
I think
that means the other 8/10 is just general improvement, which is pretty good going.
Yeah, I think that's. I think he'll be quite happy with that, to be honest. It was a good lap. Looked really clean, to be fair. So here we have Stuart Pringle starting his outlap now as well in the other Maserati MC12.
Yeah, Stuart Pringle, who we know absolutely has the speed, definitely has the talent. It's the hooking up the consistency. We saw that from him during the Simply Race touring car season. He picked up a very good reverse grid win in race 3 at Alton Park, but sometimes just maybe not being able to race distance together, which obviously is a much bigger consideration in a race length. But still did pretty well and showed good pace at times to pick up the 7th place that you see here at Road Atlanta. Yeah. As he gets ready. So his time he was actually 5th in the practice session, did a 1:35.3. So if he can hook a lap up, Aaron might be vulnerable here for P5.
It could be, yeah. I mean, Stuart has been quite fast in practice. He struggled initially when he came down. Definitely was overdriving the car, but after a little bit of coaching, a little bit of advice, he managed to get that under control quite a bit more. So I think could potentially be in with a threat, like you say, of becoming the best of the rest from Aaron Daly. So
let's we'll give these sector times in comparison to Aaron. So Aaron's first sector was a 24.276. So as Pringle comes down to San Donato. That's what we'll be keeping an eye out for, because I think P5 is probably a realistic target for him, particularly as Aaron's lap wasn't perhaps quite as good as it could have been. Luco and into Mugello Secco, getting the car rotated quite well. Here he comes up to the first sector line. Pulls across to the right quite early. 24.281, 5 thousandths behind Aaron Daly at that first sector. So everything to play for here.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent first sector. Looks quite nice. That was a bit wide through there and he just saved it, so fair play. Probably would have had to come off the throttle a little bit there though, which is definitely going to affect him through Arbatia 1 and 2.
Right to the edge of the track though. Absolutely
very aggressive at the wheel, which the Maserati doesn't always pay you back for.
But he's gone nearly half a second quicker than Aaron Daly in the second sector. Now, he's just gone very deep there into Scarperia, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time. But Stuart Pringle looking good here for a low 35, maybe a high 34. And I think potentially he might be able to get 5th place on the grid here ahead of Aaron Daly.
Yeah, nice line there, much tidier than Aaron, so as long as he doesn't mess up the long left-hander at the end of the lap, then he should be okay.
Into Stuart Pringle's there. Aaron Daly's
bit
time,
squirrely.
Very bit squirrely. Aaron Daly's time to be 1:35.264. I think Stuart Pringle, as he comes up past the pit entry, may well be on to beat this. I'm expecting him to go into 5th place. Comes up to the line now at a 1:34.7.
Good effort.
Absolutely great last sector. 43.0 last sector. It was a 10th quicker than Aaron's, and he's managed to beat him by just over half a second. So Stuart Pringle provisionally into 5th place on the grid.
Next up, we've got Neil Harris returning for round number 2 in the other orange Apex racing car. Looking quite good on the circuit at the moment, must be said. Neil's definitely... how did he do in practice? Just remind me,
he
Dan.
was his best approach 1:38.6.
Okay, so if we take anything into consideration of just fuel, should be looking at around a 1:37.5, maybe 6 potentially. We'll see how he gets on.
Well, obviously, my sample's time, which is a 1:37.041, is probably a good benchmark to measure him against. So I think with the sample, compare it to him. That's probably most realistic as he comes up to over the mile on his outlap.
So just a comparison, I know it's only the outlap, but you can see the lack of trail braking, and look how much more compliant the Corvette is through the corners without doing that. It just goes in and it turns. So that's where Aaron really lost a lot of time. Almost like Aaron just suddenly lost a bit of confidence with the car.
Trying to push on a little bit too much and started overdriving a little bit perhaps. So here comes Neil Harris. So the first sector time we're comparing him to Thomas Samples, 24.870. So let's see how he compares to that as he comes through the first 3 corners as he goes on to his qualifying lap and down to San Donato.
Yep, here we go. Nice on the brakes, nice turn in. Oh, a little bit of an extra brake there. It's always a sign of a driver not being 100% confident yet, is when you have that second dab of the brakes. But nicely through the first chicane. I'm not going to try and slaughter the pronunciation.
24.886 with 16 thousandths off of Thomas Sample's first sector time. Always got very, very wide there. Borgo San Lorenzo. That's going to cost him a 10th or 2. So work to do as he comes through Casanova and Savelli.
But that was very nice there through Casanova.
Much better, much better. He's gained his composure again very, very well.
And beautiful first apex for the first Arabatia, and through the second it's going to go a little bit wide, but that's really good, really good.
Second sector 28.0, 3 quicker
yep.
than Thomas Sample, so potentially on to get into P7 on the provisional grid. As it looks, he's got Correntino, Biondetti and Bacine to go, and he comes that long, was never-ending right.
Ooh, that was
nice line, pushing on a bit, just run a little bit wide on the exit, but that line's fine.
Little wide, but yeah, I think that's okay.
Lots of curb.
He could potentially put Aaron under pressure here if he has a really, really good final sector.
He's 8 tenths behind Aaron.
He'd need a mega one, but Aaron's final sector
Aaron's final sector wasn't great.
No.
It's fair points. As Bacini out he comes, runs it nice and wide. I think we're looking at time probably in the 1:36s here for Neil Harris, which should put him ahead of Thomas Samples into 7th place. Up he comes across the line, 1:36.9. It wasn't a great last sector, but he has managed to beat Thomas Samples by just under a 10th.
I think he'll be happy about that as he spins on his slow down lap, which we've asked the drivers not to do.
Unless the lesser spotted Philip Webb arrive, we've got 2 drivers to go, and here's Gareth Boyle.
Well, I think Phil has lost his chance now. I think because he was in front of Gareth in the championship.
Yeah.
So it will just be Ashley. So yeah, Phil will, if he gets here now, will still be starting from the back because he's missed his opportunity to qualify.
His championship position.
Correct.
Yeah, fair enough.
There'll be an unfair advantage if he then goes out now.
But Gareth, like his stablemate Stuart, very, very quick on his day and over one or a few laps. Admittedly, he's probably not picked the easiest car maybe to get to grips with. He's the only driver in the Aston. What do you think, God? Do you think maybe that if he picked a slightly more compliant car, Gareth might be doing it better?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit... he likes it, so, and I think that's the important thing, isn't it? Is if you like the car, that's what should dictate your choice. The Aston, I had to do a lot of work on for this circuit, and I mean a lot of work. I was here till 3:15 in the morning one night, just trying to get it into a better place, but now it's very compliant. I would say it's probably one of the better cars, personally. Well, I mean, lap time wise, it's exactly the same as the top cars, but to drive now, I would say it's a lot more compliant at the rear end.
Well, his best time in practice was 1:36.6, so there's a 1.7 second gap at the moment between Aaron Daly and Neil Harris, which would be the most natural place for him to go into as he attacks the Herbert Luco very aggressively. Here he comes up to the first sector line now. It is a 24.8, so about where Neil Harris and Thomas Samples were. A little bit wide through Borgo San Lorenzo, then over the hill down to Casanova. So steady start to the lap, but as usual with Gareth Boyle, no lack of commitment. No
lack of commitment whatsoever. Looking quite nice through here. Really nice entry to the first Arabatia. That Aston looks really quick through there. Yeah, it
looks very, very nice indeed. That's why the second sector now it compares to the drivers around in. 27.7 is good. It's quicker than Harrison Samples. It's quicker than Aaron Daly, although he's half a second behind him at sector 2. So that's 7th place provisionally. With one driver to go. He's looking pretty good, barring any significant errors as he comes through Corantayo and then up to very wide on the exit there as then comes to the left and right of Biondetti.
Yeah, really tidy lap actually from Gareth, it must be said, and a really impressive lap as well. Really fast in places and a little bit too much curb there. That's going to run the car out a bit too wide. It's not the end of the world, but it's not going to help him too much. So this sector 3, I'm not expecting anything spectacular.
Well, Thomas Samples 136.943 should beat that probably just 36.1. Good last sector.
So he did manage to pull a good last sector.
And he does go into the middle of that gap into 7th place. 136.192. So Gareth Ball 7th. And here is your last driver, Ashley Thornley. I'm assuming that's Thornley Croft. And the name has cut the T off on the end.
Unfortunately, he has quite a long name.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually fit. Unfortunately. Well, they're saying that. John Dean Smith fits, but yeah. Oh, it is a bit longer, isn't it? Anyway.
Ashley's new to us, isn't he?
Yes. First time racing with us. Has been to the venue, obviously, before. Quite a few times. But first time doing a event with us.
Didn't do too bad.
Oh, and he's lost it.
Oh, he's lost on the outlap coming out of Albrietta 2.
Oh, that's not good. That's those beautiful, fresh, soft tyres. Overheated, cooked, worn out. Oh, that's not fun.
That's going to be a big compromise for him. He did a 138.2 in practice, which was quicker than both Samples and Harris. We'll be probably looking for a good time. We'll be looking for a mid to high 136 perhaps, but that's going to be really compromised now after that spin.
Arabatia 1 and 2 is going to feel so sketchy now because the front left and the rear left are going to be so hot through there that the car is probably not going to want to comply. So we'll see. We'll see how he gets on.
So let's see how he gets on. We would expect maybe a high 24 first sector. The last driver to go in this qualifying session crosses the line and heads down towards San Donato in that beautiful Maserati. Vitaphone colours. The car that dominated FPGT in the late 2000s and the early 2010s. So through San Donato and up to Luco and Poggio Secco. 24.7, 24.8's been around the benchmark for the drivers around him from practice. Let's see what he can do and how much that spin's affected him. He comes through now and done a 25.0, which is the slowest of the first sector time we've seen so far, but not by much. So now let's see, as Grant said, through Casanova and then through Savelli and the Arrabbiatas, how those tyres cope, because they're going to be absolutely
There you
screaming. And there's the spin of Casanova. It's not entirely unexpected,
No.
given the spin on the
He might as well complete the lap, but that's, yeah. That's a shame. That is a shame.
It is a shame, but that's kind of one thing breeding another with the outlaps and trying to get heat into the tyres. And obviously it's a long race, so plenty of time for Ashley to make amends when we get into this 90-minute race. It's going to be a good sort of 55 laps or so, this race, we think. So
I mean, it's the beauty of one-shot qualifying, isn't it? It's for these moments. It's,
exactly.
It puts
at least we got one.
Yeah, it puts the driver under pressure.
So I think we can say with some certainty will be Aidan Carter and Martin Buchan on the front row, the 32.5 and the 32.7. Row 2, Nathan Burton on a 33.3, John Dean Smith 33.4, Stuart Pringle 34.7, Aaron Daly 35.2. Row 4, Gareth Ball on a 36.1 and Neil Harris on a 36.9. Then Thomas Samples on row 5 on a 37.0 and Ashley Thornycroft with a time. Well, the time's not really going to matter, is it, after the spin? But he will be bringing up the rear in 10th.
Nice end to the lap, though. The final sector was quite nice.
He's made amends.
We'll see what sort of final sector it is. A 44.5. So I think he'll be pretty happy with that final sector, considering those tyres are destroyed.
Two spins, those tyres are effectively useless.
Yes.
So Ashley will line up at the back of a 10-car grid. But it's Aidan Carter, your championship leader, your winner of Atlanta on pole. Martin Buchan looking good on race days. It should be, I think, you'll agree, Grant, another very exciting duel between the two of them, with probably not much between them.
Absolutely. I think we're going to have a really interesting race. We're going to find out all the tyre choices quite soon, so we'll obviously let you know when we know, but that'll probably be at the start of the race when we tell you that. And through the race, it'll be interesting to see what strategy everyone goes on. It's all going to be about who can manage their tyres. I've heard some rumours that some drivers are going to attempt the soft tyre for the race, which is brave. It's very brave, but there was one driver in particular, I'm not going to say who, because I don't want to give anything away to anyone that might be listening from other teams, but there was one driver that definitely managed to make the softs work. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a lot to play for in this race.
Yep, lots to be excited about, and the SAS swinging around on ropes, so don't put the kids to bed just yet. We're going to take a very quick break. Thank you for joining us for qualifying, and we're back with you very shortly for the second round of the Simply Race in Sprint Series, it's an endurance series then, for 2024. 90 minutes of Mugello coming up very shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back to Mugello, and it's time to go racing. The second round of the 2024 Simply Race Sprint Series, 90 minutes around Mugello. Ignore that caption. Aidan Carter and Martin Buchan on the front row, Nathan Burton and John D. Smith on the second row, a Barracuda lockout on the top 4 places. Stuart Pringle did a qualifying lap to qualify 5th place ahead of Aaron Daly, Gareth Boyle in the Aston Martin, Neil Harris in the Corvette, and then 2 new drivers too, as Thomas Samples and Ashley Thorneycroft as the cars head off on their warm-up lap. Phil Webb, unfortunately, I don't think has made it, so I think just 10 cars lining up for this race. It's going to be somewhere in the region of 55 laps. I can give you some very interesting tyre information because Aidan Carter is starting on the medium tyres. Martin Buchan, Nathan Burton and John D. Smith all starting on the hard, so Grant Lyman. That does add a very interesting extra element of strategy into what's going to be a very long, very difficult race around a track where concentration is going to be everything.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be absolutely key to see how can Martin hang on to Aidan on those mediums with his hard tyres. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, because the pit window is 45 to 60 minutes, so generally speaking, the first stint is going to be longer than the second. We would assume that the drivers are all going to switch to the soft tyres for the second stint of the race, which means that Aidan Carter would go to the softs and the 3 behind him on the grid would go to the mediums. So we don't know that for certain. We won't know until they change. But that then obviously means that Aidan thinks he can do 90 minutes, as making that assumption on mediums and softs. So it's going to be a real challenge of his consistency and just keeping the tyres in check and not overheating them, depending on the pressure he gets behind. So I think a real strategic battle coming up, potentially even more so than I think we got in Atlanta. That was pretty good going.
Yes, I think it's going to be all about who can make their tyres last, who can make the most out of their stints, who can make the least mistakes. I mean, we saw one in qualifying, well, 2 in qualifying, you have to say. So it's a tough track, is Mugello, in a GT car. Hopefully we will offer you more thrills and spills than we saw earlier in the MotoGP race.
I.e. some.
At least a little bit.
Yeah, if you... By coincidence, when Grant set the schedule, that today was also MotoGP at Mugello. If you haven't watched the MotoGP race at Mugello earlier on, I'm not going to give any spoilers in terms of the results, but I'm not going to spoil in terms of don't bother, it was rubbish. And please go and watch the Moto2 race instead, because the Moto2 race was absolutely superb. Best Moto2 race in years. So here come the cars to the grid then. Aidan Carter will start on the left-hand side, on the inside for the first corner, San Donato. Martin Buchan in the Ford will line up on the outside behind him, and you can see Burton taking a little bit of a wider line as he lines up, and then John D. Smith and Pringle lining up behind them, and Daly, Boyle, Harris, Samples and Thorneycroft, the 2 at the back. So here we go, 90 minutes. Round 2 of 5 of the 2024 Simply Race Sprint Series at Mugello, getting underway in 5 seconds time. 4, 3, 2. There we go. Good start for Buchan, great start for Buchan. He's got massive, much better drive than Carter, and I think it's going to be the Ford we see come over the crest. They come towards San Donato in the lead, and it is. It's Buchan, then it's Carter, then it looks like it's Burton. Oh, Nathan Burton spun. Nathan Burton's gone off onto the grass. The very third corner of the race. Now John D. Smith, and I think Stuart Pringle's going to come into 4th as well.
Well, somehow Nathan's managed to recover in front of Gareth Boyle there.
Yeah, apologies then. Daly in 3rd.
So Aaron Daly jumps up to 3rd place. So Buchan, John D. Smith, Aaron Daly. Interesting top 3.
Is that Aidan in 8th?
That is Aidan in 8th place.
With so many different Barracuda cars at the front, trying to tell the liveries apart.
Are
we can see Aidan, that's Aidan coming.
Aidan's.
Yeah, it's Aidan coming straight back to Neil Harris. I apologise, I thought it was Nathan Burton with 3 pretty much identically liveried Corvettes and a long shot. It's hard to tell, but Aidan who's gone off, that puts his strategy compromised straight away. He's come straight past Neil Harris, going to try and get straight past Thomas Samples. It's Buchan who leads from Dean Smith, Aaron Daly in 3rd. Aidan Carter already back up into 6th place. He's passed Harris and Samples already. He's got work to do.
Absolutely. Like, worst case scenario for Aidan, especially on those softer tyres. Like,
Grant, I hate to sound intermediate. Can we line up a replay of the stars?
yes.
I think it's definitely worth having a look at as the cars come through Biondetti towards Pacine at the end of the first lap. I can see Aidan Carter and Nathan Burton both behind Stuart Pringle there. It'll be Bucking, Dean Smith, Daly, Pringle, Burton and Carter at the end of the first lap. Burton's got a good run on Pringle here, so we'll keep an eye on cars. We can see them in front of your shot there. Pringle and Burton go to fourth. They come towards San Donato for the second time. Burton will walk through as we go for it on the inside. Yes, he will. He's gone for it. And I think he has got the move done. We'll see them in the shot. Yes, he has. Nathan Burton's got past Stuart Pringle, back up into fourth place. Here they come. So Carter, 5.5 seconds behind Martin Buckley on the softer tyres as well. We've got the tyre capability of working through, but he's not where he would want it to be. Absolutely disaster from the start. Grant is still teeing up the replays. We'll bring it to you very shortly. Meanwhile, John Lee Smith and Martin Buckley more than honest at the very front. Arabiata 1, up the hill, Arabiata 2. A horrible crash there, unfortunately, in the Moto 3 race this morning. Hope Xavi Thuratutha is alright. Into Scarperia and Pelagio. They're back over a crest again into the long, almost endless right-hand corner of Corin Tyre. But John Dean Smith is on it here. He's taking 4/10 out of Martin Buchan in the first 2 seconds of this lap.
So there's definitely going to be some words in the Barracuda camp, because look at it,
Here's a replay
Nathan
start.
Burton up the inside of Aidan Carter. Little nudge, and off they go.
And Aidan's gone out wide. So we did see Nathan go off to the inside, but we couldn't see out of shot that Aidan had gone off on the outside as well at the same time.
So being wiped out by his own teammate there.
Let's have a look at Aidan Carter now. He's right on the back of Stuart Pringle to try and get back into 5th place. 35-1 by John Dean Smith, a quarter of a second than Martin Buchan that's around. Here is Aidan Carter trying to get back past Stuart Pringle, back up into 5th place. He's on the outside going into San Donato. Forced Pringle to go deep. Can he cut inside? No, Pringle's covered the line in the Corvette very well. So what to do for Aidan with all this? Oh, Pringle spun. Pringle has spun. I think Nathan's got off as well. It might have been in avoidance of Nathan making a mistake, and as a result, Aidan Carter, I think, has got past the pair of them, and suddenly Aidan's up to 4th. I think that was all caused by a mistake from Nathan Burton into Luco.
You don't mean Aaron Daly?
Was it Aaron?
It was Aaron. Nathan's still keeping.
We've got to sort these things out. I can't tell which car is which for these shots. I apologise. So Aaron Daly's had off in the Corvette, and Nathan's up to 3rd. And I think that Stuart Pringle had to take some avoiding action to avoid Aaron going off into Luco and Poggio second, so I apologise. Aaron has rejoined in 5th place. Thomas Samples, though, starts up into 6th now, ahead of Neil Harris with Stuart Pringle back in 8th. Gareth Boyle is in 10th place. I think he's well behind, so he must have had off in the early stage as well. So, fortunately, for a race where consistency is key, we had a lot of ops in these first 3 laps.
Yeah, and Aidan's starting to make the most out of those medium tyres, putting in a purple middle sector on this lap, wanting to steal that fastest lap away from John, I imagine, as well, and that includes an overtake and an avoiding an accident on that lap as well.
I mean, that's the thing. Aidan lost 1.6 seconds in the first second of that lap to Martin Buchan, and he's now, what happens to be 8.7 seconds off the lead. It's a big gap.
It is.
That's not for Ashley Thornycroft coming out of Biondetti.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Sticking with Stuart quite nicely there.
This is turning into a race for attrition already. We're only 5 minutes in.
Yeah, and Nathan's starting to put some hot times in as well. Nathan and Martin, the 2 fastest drivers on the circuit at the moment by quite some margin.
At 35.2 for Martin and for Nathan that time round. John Smith did a 35.9. Aidan did a 36.9, but of course we know he had to take that avoiding action after Aaron Daly spin early in the lap. So Martin Buchan stretching his lead out now to 1.3 seconds. We're looking at Nathan Burton in 3rd. I hope. I'm not any confident it is Nathan Burton. I hope so.
It's definitely Nathan Burton.
Good, as he comes into the starters. So I think as we now getting the cars a bit more spread out, we're getting to a rhythm in this race. I think we can have a look at 6th, 7th and 8th, because Samples, Harrison, Pringle are pretty much nose to tail. So I think that's where the battle is. Nathan Burton went so deep at Scarperia and somehow just about kept him going onto the grass.
So we've had Stanley comment, come on number 21. Jerry comment, come on number 21. So
he's just gone off as well. He's just gone off, and Neil, well done, Neil, for avoiding that.
And Thomas Nichols says, come on, Mr. Boyle as well. So yeah, unfortunately, Gareth not having the best start of the race, but long way to go. So keep your comments coming in. If you want to ask any questions or anything like that, we'll be keeping an eye on it every now and then. But when the race comes up,
I think we need to focus on the leaders because Martin Bucker's at a 35.5. Aiden Carter's going to be significantly quicker on this lap, a 34.9. So 6 tenths quicker, the gap down to 8.2 seconds. Aiden's got a lot of work to do to make amends to what happened on the first lap, but he's going in the right direction.
Yeah, it's good to see that Aiden's not let that little off get to their driving style and let some more mistakes creep in. It's so easy to spin multiple times once you've lost it once in these cars because the rear ends just do not want to comply anymore, as we saw in qualifying with Ashley. I do wonder if the stewards want to take a little look at turn 1 as well.
We might do. I mean, we haven't heard anything as yet, but we are in a situation where we are just over 7 minutes into a 90-minute race, and apart from Martin and John, I think everyone's been off. It's been a fairly chaotic start to this.
I think Neil's kept it on.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, Neil took avoiding action, so yeah, Neil's kept it on the island under duress. It has to be said. He's did very well coming out of Pelagio there to avoid Thomas Samples last time round. These are your leaders, by the way. John D. Smith has closed right back up to the back. Martin Buchan is keeping him honest once again as they come back down towards Bacine. Very wide line from John, but I think it's deliberate to take a late apex. Look how wide Buchan went there.
Very wide.
John's going to get I don't think maybe enough to overtake. John's going to get a good toe here. He's in right behind him when they get down to San Bernardo.
Yeah, I'm not sure if John had the best exit though, because he's sort
fastest
of
lap of the race
back,
by John D. Smith. I'm sorry to interrupt, Grant.
No worries at all. But into turn 1, he looks very close, to be fair. So.
Yeah, that's I think knowing the big toe at Mugello, that's about what I expected. But John looking very, very good so far.
We've also got Stuart Pringle lining up Neil Harris on the start-finish straight, so we'll just quickly cut to that. See if anything changes there. If not, we'll go straight back to our leaders. So coming down the start-finish straight now. No, a bit too far away. Stuart thinks about it. Doesn't. Just putting in the dummy there. Just trying to unsettle Neil more than anything, I'd imagine.
Shades of Martin and Bastianini in the sprint race yesterday, which did not end well, but certainly didn't end well for anyone.
Yeah.
John D. Smith is all over Martin Buchan like a cheap suit still. He's right there with him, so great battle for the lead going on. And Aiden Carter's running John's pace at the moment, so also going quicker than Martin Buchan. The gap was right on 9 seconds. It's down to just over 7 now, so Aiden is chipping away, using his tyre advantage. But obviously there's going to be a compromise potentially, right, in terms of using up those tyres too quickly, because we've still got, what, at least 35 minutes until you can come in and pit and change them.
Yeah, so don't use what you have too soon. But Aiden, very squirrely from John there. Don't know if you noticed that, mid-corner, a little bit of a...
About the same as the last lap, Martin goes a lot wide, and John just seems to try and stick to the apex.
Big hesitation there, though. I think he lost a fair bit of time, to be honest. Yeah, full temps in the final sector.
There.
It was a big snap in the middle of the corner. We've got a yellow in sector 2, it's clear. Stewart still behind Neil, not too close behind now. He's following him relatively closely. Looks a lot more confident under braking, does Stewart.
Aiden Carter, fastest man on the track on that lap, 35.1 compared to Martin Buchan's 35.7. So I think that's going to be probably the story of the next 20 to 30 minutes of this race. That we're going to see Aiden Carter gradually coming through. He's going to have to try and clear Nathan Burton. That's no mean feat in itself. Try and get himself back on turn.
And Stuart up the inside of Neil Harris. Sorry to come across you there, but getting the job done at turn 1.
Not there, quickly getting back up into 6th place at San Donato. He is 13 seconds behind Aaron Daly. With a good consistent run together, we'll fancy a chance to get back into that 5th place where we qualified.
Yeah, so dropping off a little bit now is John from Martin. So Martin's starting to sort of, well, go faster again than John. Aiden faster than the both of them, and then Nathan faster than Nathan faster than the both of them, and then Aiden faster than everybody else in front of him. So fastest man on track by a long way is Aiden Carter.
Yeah, but still with 8-9. It's going to take him a while, but I think if Aiden can be sort of within the conversation and still be hanging in there around where they are by the time the pit window opens at half distance, I think he'll be happy with that.
Absolutely.
And Aiden does think very strategically. He does play the long game. He's a very cerebral driver. These are things that he thinks about. Fast up the race for Aiden Carter, 34.9 there, whereas all of the 3 cars ahead of him were in the mid-35s. So the gap is coming down. He's doing the job that he needs to do to recover from that difficult start.
Really fast final sector from Aiden there, 43.1 in that final sector. I do wonder if Aiden is starting to get the benefit of the slipstream, because it is a very powerful slipstream here.
Well, he's what, 1.2 seconds behind Nathan Berta.
Yeah.
I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
1.2.
It just seems like such a fast final sector compared to everybody else.
Yes, it does. But again, that's the tyre advantage, I suppose.
Yeah, true. That is true also. But that could bite Aiden quite soon as well, as they start to overheat.
Could do. I guess he's in a situation where he kind of has to go for it to make up the deficit, but he doesn't want. It's kind of, he doesn't want to burn too many matches, so to speak, but he might have to. It's a very difficult balancing act he's going to have to do. However, he's just on the fastest second sector of the race. He's taken, what, 4 tenths out of Buchan first 2 sectors of this lap alone.
Yeah.
Riding on board with Nathan Burton, looking back at Aiden Carter.
Well, he's got to get past Nathan first, and I wonder if Nathan will just let him go. Obviously, they are one big team. They're not teammates per se, but they are obviously one big team.
One for all,
and maybe is a bit of a sorry about turn 1.
Well, let's wait and see. They come out to the line now. I think the gap's going to be less than a second at the line between them. It is 34.7 by Aiden Carter there. So fastest up of the race so far, and he's closing right up.
Look how tight you can get into turn 1 compared to Nathan there.
That's the difference in the mediums and the hards. You are viewing it on your screen right there, and I get the feeling maybe at the end of this lap going down to San Donato at the start of the next lap might be the chance for Aiden to get through.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting very close to that. Look at the gaps that are coming down through the chicane. Like, giving it everything now.
It's like when Verstappen put on softs last week and was mediums last week and was chasing down George Russell. Not that he could get past, obviously, but the gap was coming down by like 2 seconds a sector or something silly.
Yes, but I feel like we could actually see an overtake here.
I'd be disappointed if we didn't. I mean, I've been disappointed. Look how much he closed to Arabiata too. All Nate has gone wide as well. He might have a fun even before that, going in sort of current tyre with Orbacine.
The confidence that Aiden has. Stuart Pringle has gone off in sector 2, recovers, so drops down to P7.
Neil Harris doing a good job in P6 at the moment, just doing a steady job. Maybe on Detti, and there's the extra grip that you can see that Aiden Carter's got, and I think he's just going to sit there through Bacine. He's not going to go for it.
And
sit
during
behind him
this,
and
John
get the toe.
has closed up on Martin again as well.
We're making a point. The Aiden only about 5 seconds off the lead now, but look at the toe he's going to get. I don't think he's going to be ahead over the line, but he's got a good chance of being comfortably ahead as they come down to San Donato. Nathan's going to make him go wide, as we expect him to do. So Aiden on the outside. Is Nathan going to fight it? He is going to fight it. He's going to go too deep. Well held by Nathan Burton. Got that stopped tremendously. He's not giving this up without a fight.
No, fair play. I mean, that was a nice, clever defensive move there. Everybody let everyone know where everyone's going to go very early.
Another chance again. Well, Aiden has a chance to Matarassi. No.
Carries so much more speed. Look at
Oh,
this.
he's missing apex there through Walker San Lorenzo. But there's not much of a breaking point to Casanova. He's very brave to do it there, and he can't do it.
I would have eaten a hat if he did it there.
It's scary watching that being done on a motorbike, let alone in a car, through the Arabiatas. You battle for third place, but it is costing them time compared to the leaders.
It is. So Aiden's going to want to get this done. And I wonder if Nathan is seeing that as well.
To paraphrase Rob Smedley, Aiden is faster than you. But I don't think...
The battle for the lead is just as close now. It's under 0.4 of a second for our leaders as well.
I think we need a picture-in-picture it, right?
Yep. But which battle do we follow?
I think let's stick with this one, and we'll keep an eye on your leaders. But the lap times at the end of this lap are going to be really tell their own story, because the gap's going
well. I think we're about to have a move for the lead.
Here we go. Here he leads then over the line. John Dean Smith as close as he's been to Martin Buchan.
As Aiden's dropped back a little bit, so let's keep an eye on this lead battle. Here we go.
I think that's John on the inside. He's John on the inside. John Dean Smith takes the lead.
Very nice.
Wow.
Martin didn't play too stupidly there, just let it go. Probably can see that Aiden's catching the pair of them. but doesn't want to get caught up in a silly battle. So just keeping on doing his own game plan.
Another 16.5 minutes gone. John Dean Smith, now he was in this position at Road Atlanta, but it didn't last too long. He did have a spin out, so fingers crossed for JDS that he can keep it going for much longer in this race. Here's back to your battle between Burton and Carter.
Well, John's already pulled out nearly half a second on Martin, so Martin not having a great start to this stint, it must be said.
Could be tyre saving, perhaps.
I feel like that's a lot of tyre saving.
Well, it could be, but then if he thinks that Aiden's burning out his mediums,
yeah, that's
again,
true.
could be taking a very long game. Still got what? It's 73 minutes of this race to go. Long way to go, yeah, as Aiden Carter goes right back up to the back of Nathan Burton once again as they come into Corin Tyre. Biondetti and Pacine towards the end of the lap once again. Good run here, but I don't know whether he wanted to pass him into Pacine to get him down the straight. Go the nose.
He's going for a nice late apex.
Absolutely good spot, Grant. Nathan looks a bit twitchy, and this is going to be the best chance to get now down the straight for Aiden Carter to get that third place back. He goes down over the line towards San Donato. There's your leaders going through in the front of your shot there. But Aiden fancy shot on the inside. I think here we go. And I think this time Nathan saw him coming. I think he realised that discretion was the better part of valor. Aiden Carter now into third place. He is released. He is just under 5 seconds behind Martin Bucket. Let's look at the first sector, see how it was affected.
Well, Martin's just lost 4 tenths to
Aiden Carter, purple first sector, over 6 tenths quicker than Martin Bucket. The gap between them down to 4.3 seconds. Aiden is fighting his way back into this race.
Gareth starting to lap quite nicely as well at the back on some personal bests. Nice recovery as well, getting ahead of Samples for Thornycroft. So just behind his teammate now, but be it a good 6 seconds behind his teammate.
Lap times last time just for the top 3, sorry to interrupt Grant. John Dean Smith 35.6, Martin Buchan 36.3, Aiden Carter 35.0. Despite the fact that he's probably held up behind Nathan Burton for the last few corners of that lap.
Well, if Nathan can kind of stick with Aiden, he will be able to challenge Martin as well at that pace.
Well, he's taken another nearly half a second out of him in sector 2. Now Aiden's got clear air. He is absolutely flying. This could quite possibly be a new fastest lap of the race. I think this could be well into the 1:34s. So as the leaders come to the line this time, we'll have a look at the lap times as they come through. John Dean Smith 35.1, Martin Buchan 36.0, Aiden Carter 34.5, fastest lap of the race, 1.5 seconds quicker than Martin Buchan. The gap's down to 3.5 between them.
Yeah, really impressive driving from Aiden.
And Nathan in the 36s as well, just to prove the point about needing to get past him.
So John is coming up to Thomas Samples to lap him. So hopefully Thomas stays nice and predictable. Not the nicest thing to have in the world when you've got the leaders bearing down on you, especially when it's as close as it is on the front. And to be honest, it's not the best place to catch someone either.
You walk through the Arabiata 1, Arabiata 2. To be fair, again, all those
Thornycroft's off.
That's just Thornycroft's there as well. Just back out of the way. To be fair, and we saw there was an incident, I think involving Stuart Pringle. Aiden's been held up. I mean, these guys are trying to do the right thing. This is not an easy track to get out of the way because it's all fast corners.
That was a bit of a move there from Thornycroft, and he gets out of the way eventually. It's a little unpredictable there, but he made it work.
Aiden had taken another full second out of Martin Buchan in the first 2 sectors of this lap.
I think that will equalise in sector 3.
Yes, I think so. But again, I don't think actually all Thomas did anything wrong. It's the worst part of this track to catch back markers. It's one line, it's quick, it's not easy to get out of the way. I think Thomas did more than enough to try and get onto the outside line. He had a bit of incident there in practice similarly, but again, didn't really do anything wrong. And yeah, you're right, Aiden lost a second and a half, or 1.4 seconds there to Martin Buchan because of the back mark. But that's endurance racing for you.
It is.
It swings and rounds out.
Yeah. And to be fair, John kept a very cool head when all of that was going on as well. And Aiden's just overtook Samples too to lap him. So still lost a bit of time, and Nathan now having to do the same. But yeah, I have to say it was a very composed head on the shoulders there to not make a mistake when he saw the rear end of Sample start to wiggle a bit, and also when he saw Thornycroft off right in front of him.
Yeah, and Arabiata too, the worst, completely unsighted, over the crest of the hill, 4th, 5th gear. Yeah, I can't think of a worse place on this track for that to happen. So hopefully this lap things get a bit more settled. Aiden chipping that gap down again, but it's still 3.6 seconds for now.
Nathan fastest in the first sector on this lap, 24.1, despite having to overtake that back marker. Not as good in the middle sector, mine.
Could it be he got a toe off the back marker?
He could have, yeah, potentially. But he was held up quite a bit though. Interesting.
To the end of another lap. John Dean Smith still leading. It was currently around 1.4 seconds. So they come to the lines over the lap times. John Dean Smith 35.1, that's a good time. Buchan 35.3. Carter 35.0. And Nathan Burton 34.9, personal best in the race. So John Dean Smith a second and a half ahead of Buchan. That's 3.5 ahead of Carter. It's just a 1.5 Nathan Burton. And it's another nearly 34 seconds. Back to Aaron Davis. And Neil Harris doing a great job in 6th place at the moment.
Yeah.
He's got 18 seconds on Stuart Pringle. He's got 13 seconds ahead. He's doing his own thing. Bit of a tortoise in the hare situation. The consistency really pays off in this race. Always better to be the tortoise in the hare.
Well, Boyle is actually catching Pringle. Quite a substantial rate of knots as
Here
well.
they are, 7th and 8th. Nose to tail coming through Correntine. Very wild, wide line by Gareth Boyle, as you'd expect with that Aston. On Betty again.
These cars do react very squirrely in the dirty air of another car. They're not so bad when it's the same car, but when you have a car like the Maserati and you're in the Aston, it really is a pain to follow.
Onto they come. I don't think Gareth is close enough to make a move this time. No, he's not. All the lap times last time round. Stewart did a 38.3.
So actually extended the gap a little bit.
And Gareth Ball did a 37.7. So between them, there's still the closest battle on track. John Dean Smith did a personal best lap of the race as they came to the line now, but Aiden Carter 34.3. Where's that come from? So John Dean Smith 34.9, Martin Buchan 35.1, Aiden Carter 34.3, fastest lap of the race. Just to keep you updated as we watch this battle here.
Gareth
Aiden
Boyle
Carter
made the jump on Stuart Pringle.
got through.
Yeah.
Aiden Carter now 2.8 seconds behind Martin Buchan. He's taken another couple of tenths out in the first sector of this lap. So we've seen Gareth Ball get ahead of Stuart Pringle and back into 7th place. And we'll keep an eye now, I think, on Martin Buchan and Aiden Carter. I think that will be the next battle that emerges. We are 25 minutes near enough into this race now, so 20 minutes until the pit window opens. But John Dean Smith doing a great job so far. He's built up a lead now of nearly 2 seconds.
Yeah, really mature drive from John so far. Don't want to say too much because we do have history.
We have had a
quite a few drivers to be fair. But yeah, so try not to talk too much about it. But yeah, very mature drive, and a lot of drivers would have lost their head. I know we've brought it up already, but with those back markers, a lot of drivers would have lost their head there.
Yes, I think increasingly what works in John's favour is that Martin Buchan is going to be looking in his mirrors more than he's looking forwards, because Aiden Carter is still catching. He's taken a 10th and a half out from the first sector, another 2.5 tenths in the second sector. Here they come to the line this time. Look at the lap times: 35.0 for John, 35.4 for Martin Buchan, 34.5. Aiden Carter took 9 tenths out of Martin Buchan on that lap, making the use of those medium tyres. How long did Aiden Carter make these last? With 26 minutes in, at the moment they're still performing as well as they have at any point in the race.
Will Richardson says that, I know it's not always simple, but the etiquette for being lapped needs to be made clear to all drivers. It is, and it was in the driver briefing, but I do want to make clear that these drivers are new to the series, so it's a tough thing, you know. It's difficult to put your car in exactly the right place when someone's coming up at such a vast speed compared to you, as John is now catching Stuart Pringle to put a lap on him. He's had a spin on the last lap as well.
Yeah, I think Thomas tried to do the right thing, and I saw him moving over, coming out of Borgo San Lorenzo to get to get out, to get out of the way.
John say Pringle gets out of the way. John, when he passed the lap cars, apparently said only mildly terrifying.
Yeah, we did just hear an audible shout of "get out of the way." John Dean Smith.
Okay, so Aiden's going to get a 10-second hold in the pit lane for the lap 1 incident.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So stewards making their decision there. Very interesting. So Aiden's left absolutely gunning there. Like,
It already is.
yes, but even more so potentially.
I mean, he's only a second.
Yeah. So Martin's now got Pringle. Aiden now gets Pringle, which has actually brought Aiden ever so closer, I would argue, to Martin there.
Yeah, nearly another second that time round. But yeah, he's got to make up another 10 seconds as well. I mean, we assume he's probably going to go onto the softs for the last stint.
Yes.
Depends how early or late. I mean, how early or late he pits is
I
going to
guess
be more
it
critical for him, for other people, because he's running a softer
I
compound.
guess it also depends on how he's seeing the wear of the mediums and thinking, "Oh, this was the softs." Because that, you know, it's something you've got to play into your mind, isn't it? It's,
But then if you're on the mediums,
you might as well.
He can't switch to the hards, can he?
No.
That's not really the job for him. He's got a bit of rock and a hard place.
They're a good race tyre, the hards.
But if he's trying to make up a deficit,
But anyway, enough tyre talk because we're about to get some actual racing. Because look at this, Aiden Carter all over the back of Martin Buchan, and look how much more confidence Aiden has turning into the corners.
yeah, but good run through Biandetti and Pacine here, and he should be able to line him up down the straight to Santanato with a thought. You can visibly see the advantage in pace and everything. He makes sure he's right on his gearbox coming out of Pacine in the best tone possible, coming down the
lovely
long
line.
front straight. Look at the advantage in corner speed. That's the difference in the tyres. Yeah, Martin Buchan not quite having the pace perhaps we expected going into this race on these hard tyres. Here they come. Carter almost in front over the line. He was eight thousandths behind over the line. Quickly gets past him, cuts across well before to get to Santanato. Aiden Carter up into second place. It's 2.2 seconds on John Dean Smith. Remember, as Grant just told us, he's got a 10-second penalty to overcome as well.
Very interesting. I'd like to hear the stewards elaborate on that. Not to debate, but I'd like to hear their take. We obviously only watch the one replay because we can't really spend too long watching replays because of the race naturally goes on. So if I could, I'd like to hear from
But if obviously a first corner into cross on him, and it's a difficult one. It's like, from my personal perspective, if you see someone coming across like that and not giving them racing room normally during the race, you might think there'll be a penalty. The first corner of the race, there's lots going on. You may not see it so much. There was a very similar incident actually with in the restarted Moto3 race this morning. One rider outbraked himself, took another couple of riders out, got a double long lap penalty for it. It seemed a bit harsh at the time. It's always difficult. The context and the perspective kind of changes when these incidents happen on the first lap.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a tough one. I think your awareness has to be the same at all times, personally, but
there's a lot more going on, particularly with a first corner and a run to the first corner like this at Mugello. There's a lot more going on and around you, spatial awareness in those terms when you come in, particularly on relatively tough cold tyres as well.
Cool. So I think we're going to hear from the steward, not in person. I think they're going to send me a lovely message just so we can talk through that a little bit.
John Dean Smith had a personal best lap of the race on that lap of 34.8, but Aiden Carter was 0.3 quicker, with 34.5. Remember, cleared Martin Buchan, so the gap between the two leaders now down to just under 2 seconds.
Yeah, super
although
close.
in real terms 12.
Yes, but I would argue that Aiden's already chipped away a gap similar to that earlier in the race.
Feels very comfortable with the tyres that he's on, but he's going to have to work very, very hard. Obviously, past the half-hour mark now, so less than an hour to go. We've got just another 14 minutes now until the pit window opens. That's going to be another, probably about 9 laps, I would have thought.
9 more laps on these tyres.
On top of how much he's already pushed them.
Yeah. Okay, so asked to give room no matter the overlap in the briefing, having not given room, being taken another driver out from the steward.
Again, I don't want to criticise the stewards making the decisions. They're the ones to have the access to all. They have far more angles than we do. They're the ones that give the briefing. That's the kind of thing. If they were specifically asked to try and give more room in the briefing, then yeah, I can see the rationale. I think it might be a little bit harsh with it being on the first lap, but
interesting.
It is interesting.
I don't want to debate it. Like I said,
yes. We're not being quiet because we're deliberately picking the splinters out of our backsides.
It's just because we've seen it once, and it's like, oh, okay. It's a hard incident to call.
Ultimately, the stewards have lots of angles. They would have looked at this. I mean, the fact that it's taken that long.
Well, I think it was earlier. I just missed the message. When was it? 80. No, it was a while ago.
So yeah, it took them a good, looking at the message, a good 10 to 15 when it comes to the decision. They would have had a very good extensive look at all the camera angles, far more than we can. So yeah, I can see. I hate to kind of be this diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
I can see both sides of it. I can see where they're coming from. If Aiden was aggrieved around it, I can kind of see his point of view with it being a first lap incident. But
I think it's a tricky one, personally.
It is a tricky one. Just to point out, Aiden is reeling him in, although John has responded. Fastest second sector of the race there, but Aiden very much keeping him on.
Yeah, John definitely up in the pace. So it must be said, I think this is the best we've ever seen John drive. I don't want it, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it.
No, I don't want to say things like that.
But in the sense of normally, and I'm not saying this is a slight, John, but normally you would expect Aiden and John in the same car for there to be a bit of a gap between the two lap times. But at the moment, they're pretty damn close. Like, John is responding exceptionally well.
We have John 34.4, Aiden 34.1, fastest lap of the race, and these two are really up the pace now.
Yeah, getting to close to the end of the stint now. So making basically using what they've got left, and with this lighter fuel loads as well, potentially coming to the aid of the cars, just making that wear just that little bit nicer. As they're coming up to lap Gareth Boyle as well.
All currently in 7th place on first lap, and the gap between the two leaders now coming down is just over 1 second. Aiden after that from the first lap, he got a penalty for it, so I think he knows he's. I'm assuming Aiden has been informed of this penalty. It would have come up on his own.
Yeah, because otherwise, how else is he going to serve it? Sort of thing.
Fair play to Gareth Ball there to go completely off the track. I think, again, Arabial to 1 and 2, horrible hit to catch back markers. Fair play for Gareth for just pulling off the track and getting out of the way, being caught on the racing line. He did.
You don't want to be there, to be honest at all. So, fair enough. Fair enough for compromising his own race to let the leaders through. Absolutely fair enough.
We haven't talked about Nathan Burton for a while. He's only 1.8 seconds behind Buchan now, and they're on the same time.
Yeah. Definitely close that gap.
I'm surprised. I genuinely thought Martin Buchan would be a bit better than this.
Yeah.
That's not to denigrate the job the other guys are doing, but I had Martin down to 24, given how quickly they've been in testing, to win this race pretty comfortably.
Well, Martin's done a lot less practice than the other drivers in the team. Martin did his first session today, whereas Nathan, John, Aiden have all been practicing leading up to the event quite a bit, and I do think it makes a big difference.
Nathan considered lap times last time round. John Leesmith 34.5, Aiden Carter 34.6, Buchan 35.3, Nathan Burton personal best 34.5, and that gap's come down. Now you can see it's a lot closer there than it has been before as they come down through Casanova and Savelli once again. Oh, was that Gareth Ball just gone off in the background at Casanova? It's yellow. I think that's just, Gareth Ball's gone off at Casanova. I just saw a yellow shape spearing off, unfortunately. I think just reaching too much curb in it unsettled the car, so.
Well, Thomas Samples I think Stuart Pringle had an off on the previous lap as well, because he did a 43 in the middle sector. And that gap to Thomas Samples is now only 4 seconds.
The gap between the leaders is less than 1. Aiden Carter's taking a 10th out of John D. Smith in the first sector, another 10th in the second. Here they come through Vicine to finish another lap. Only 8.5 minutes now until the pit window opens. It's half an hour, so 6 laps from now, they'll be able to come in for their mandatory pit stop. 34.1 fastest lap of the race. John D. Smith only a 34. I say only a 34.6. That's a cracking time for race pace. And they've all 37 minutes. Aiden Carter making the softer tyres work, but with the penalty as well.
A bit squirrely at the back there from John.
Lots of work still to do.
They're coming up across Thornycroft once more. So hopefully everything stays nice and clean this time around. Hopefully, Thornycroft is off in front of them, so that almost eliminated itself.
I mean, to come back to what Will said on the chat earlier, I think Thomas and Ashley knew. I think they're almost trying. Oh, Aiden's off.
Lost it completely.
Aiden off at Arabiata 1. Wow.
And only just recovering now. Just gonna, as Martin goes up the inside, back into second place.
Wow. And at this stage, given the penalty, John D. Smith is now the favourite to win this race at this stage. And I'm touching wood because I don't want to curse him again. But that just massively takes the pressure off, particularly heading into the pit stops. John D. Smith now leads this race by 7 seconds.
Wow, that was big. Aiden looking. I was going to go to look for the replay, but Aiden looks like they really want to just get right back in front of Martin Buchan again.
Yes, let's stick with that. There's John D. Smith's gap now. The other Barracuda car coming around the last corner.
I think Aiden just overdid the rears just a little bit, asked a little bit too much for them, a little bit offline, lost a bit of the rears, and it just snaps on you so quickly.
And the thing is, John would have been looking through his mirrors. Is that Aiden up the inside of Buchan again? And the thing is, John wouldn't be looking through his mirrors from Arabiata because he wouldn't be through that part of the track. So he must have looked at that one and saying, well, where on earth has he gone?
Yeah.
So John D. Smith now leading this race by 6.5 seconds. Aiden Carter back in second, but he's now at 2 offs.
And puts in
worn and damaged tyres. He's got a 10-second penalty coming.
24-0 in sector 1.
Mike.
Aiden's not giving up on this.
Aiden's not messing about. He's effectively got 16 seconds to make up on John D. Smith here.
I mean,
and pass him on track because he's not going to do a pit stop.
Considering where sector 3 starts, Aiden was only half a second off of John in sector 3. After recovering.
Another 3/10 out of him in the second sector. Aiden Carter, you wouldn't like him when he's angry.
No, I always find new ways to surprise us.
If he does win this from here, well, you've got 50 minutes to go. Yeah?
It's a big if. Nathan and Martin are very close to the track now as well. They're the closest they've been. Just 7 tenths of a second between the two.
Nathan has been very quietly. We've not mentioned Nathan much for the last 15, 20 minutes. And he's been very closely being 34-0 by Aiden Carter on that lap. John D. Smith did a 35-2. That'll wake John up.
It will.
He's like, I can max a bit now. No, you can't.
And John's just had to deal with Thomas Samples in sector 1 as well, so that's not going to help. But yeah, so Nathan's definitely having a really strong race there today. Had a lot of bad luck at Road Atlanta with the rejoining. Who was it?
There's a back marker in front of him.
Back
collided.
marker, yes.
It's not his fault at all.
So we'll be looking to definitely improve on that today, and could be in for a good finish today because really keeping pace with Stuart Pringle is off in sector 2, right in front of John.
Aiden Carter with a 4/10. Another 4/10 out of John D. Smith in sector 1. Can't say what the sector 2 time is because I think John reached track limits there. There's a lot of traffic about on this part of the track at the moment. We have 4 minutes to go until the pit window opens. Another off Stuart Pringle there at Colin Tyre. Get the point. They'd be glad to get rid of those tyres. Everything spins do breed spins when you do nothing off of these cars. It's going to find it increasingly difficult to keep the car on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. The second Stewart can pit, I think he will. Yeah. Okay. So very close to the pit window opening. I think we might see a few people pit. Hang on, 45 minutes. If I'm honest with you, I think a lot of people will be, like you say, very happy to get rid of their tyres. And I wonder if people are going to shift their strategies. Like, if they're struggling now and they're thinking of going softer, you know, do you take that risk? Do you take that strategy? You know, like, does Aiden, after spinning, decide to go soft? Or does Aiden decide, you know what, it might be best to go hards?
I get the feeling if he still thinks he's taking the time out of it, he might want to carry on. So just to remind you, the pit window, and it's judged on the time that you go through the pit entrance, is 45 to 60 minutes into the race. Will open in 2.5 minutes time, and then drivers have 15 minutes, come into the pits and change onto a different compound. Just to remind you, Aiden Carter started and is running on the mediums. John Dean Smith, Martin Buchan, Nathan Burton all started on the
Yellow in sector 2 that clears quite quickly. But yeah, so I think a lot of drivers holding station a little bit now. Nathan's dropped off just a tad from Martin. Maybe doesn't want to get too much in that dirty air because it will overheat those fronts even more than what he's probably experiencing at the moment, which won't be. Aiden just putting in lap after lap after lap of just pure brilliance. Down to 3.2 seconds now.
8/10 out of John Dean Smith on that lap.
And then going to have to do it all again, potentially, as well, with that 10-second penalty. So it's a lot to ask.
I mean, so you've got to think Aiden's got a choice here of going onto the hards or the softs. You've got to go for the softs in the knowledge that he's going to have a big gap to chase down.
I think that's the smart thing to do. Maybe try and extend this stint as much as...
And then take half an hour of softs and go on a rampage.
Yeah.
That would be...
With the pace...
If I was fast enough to... I'm not saying to you guys. That would be what I would do in this situation. You've got the good... He's still got good pace on these meetings. It's a fastest middle sector of the race. Still reeling in John Dean Smith at a rate of knots here. Keep going. And just try and make the most of these tires while you can. And the more tires you can do on these, the fewer he has to do on the softs.
So Buchan just trying to get in front of Neil Harris now. How helpful is Neil Harris? It's not the best place to catch. Bit sketch as Martin gets up the inside. Nathan would have probably liked to be close enough to follow, so he doesn't make a huge advantage from it. Although saying that, Nathan's going to get a chance at getting a nice slipstream here.
Neil Harris got really crossed up into the machine. I think Nathan a chance to get through. Aiden Carter into the 33s.
As the fuel comes down, the car's getting faster and faster.
Another 8/10 out of John Dean Smith. The gap back down to 2.4 seconds.
27.0 in the middle sector. That's 0.4 of a second faster than John Dean Smith in that sector alone.
John's doing a 34.7 there. John's not going slowly.
No.
It's not a case of John conserving anything. John is driving probably pretty much flat out on those hard tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's probably looking in his mirrors and thinking, hang on, where's he come from again? How's he done that? Like, yeah, it's deja vu for John.
We have passed the halfway point of the race now. The pit window is open. Stuart Pringle, understandably, has come into the pits immediately.
And warnings from race control to drivers about holding brakes when spinning off. So basically to avoid them going back onto the circuit and taking out another car. As we saw in Road Atlanta, which was a little bit more awkward because of consequences, but we saw a couple of instances a few minutes ago where we saw a car coming back onto the circuit without any brakes on whatsoever, which could have potentially wiped out the leaders. I'm hearing some complaints about Gareth, but I can't see anyone on track around him, so
yes,
I'm a bit confused about that one.
Both the leaders, all these are Buchan and Burton, are both in. pretty much nose to tail, actually.
That
This will be
makes
interesting.
sense to me for those two. Martin really wanted gone of those tyres about half an hour ago.
So onto the hards, and we'll wait for confirmation. We expect they will both go to mediums.
Well, I think it would be most interesting to see if John reacts to them pitting, or if John just sees what Aiden does. Now, these two are teammates. They are teammates. Now, I know there's lots of Barracuda cars, but these two, the owned ex-Barracuda cars, are teammates. So they're probably privy to what the other one's doing.
Yes. They are teammates, although the way it's going, they could end up with teammates in the Valentino Rossi Jorge Lorenzo sense. By the way the race, by the time this race pans out. Grant is eagerly keeping an eye on Buchan and Burton in the pits to see where they come out in the pit stop times. You can see them on your screen there with tyres and fuel required.
I just heard Nathan saying something as well. Not really sure what's gone on there. I just heard I'm sure I heard Nathan's voice saying something in the pit lane.
102.4, so Martin Buchan. Oh, I think Nathan might have got past him there.
Yep, he has.
9/10 quicker in the pit stop, and that might have been just enough.
As John pits now as well, so John pits in, and Aiden continues. No, Aiden's in as well.
They're both in, the leaders are in.
So they've pit on the same lap. So does Aiden go to the soft tyres?
Nose to tail in the pits as well.
And obviously Aiden will have that 10-second hold.
Yep. Which in theory will put him behind these two again as well, because they're only 6 or 7 seconds behind.
Correct, yeah.
So is that Nathan directly ahead? Yeah, that is Nathan just ahead of Martin.
Martin.
So Nathan has leapfrogged Martin in the pit.
So Aaron stayed out on the lap, so Aaron jumps up to P3. It's a long pit stop here, very long pit stop here.
Keeping a very close eye, just don't want to leave any dead time, but keep a close eye on the movement in the pit lane while we watch Nathan Burton and Martin Buchan into Colin Tayo. Burton taking a little bit of margin out of Buchan on the outlap, actually. A bit more time. 6/10 quicker in the second sector.
So John goes and leaves the pit lane, and that just leaves Aiden in the pits and serving the penalty. So it's going to be, I think, yeah, they're both going to jump Aiden, because Aiden's only just getting away now as Nathan comes across the line to take third place.
Nathan
and Martin, goes to second place because Aaron has pitted as well. So your new top four is John Dean Smith, Nathan Burton, Martin Buchan and Aiden Carter.
From his outlaps, this might come down for him at the moment. He's leading this race by 15.5 seconds. I imagine he'll lose a couple with this being the outlap.
Yes, the splits will need a second to just update.
There we go, 8.6,
8.6,
that's how realistic. John D. Smith for now, a very good position. He's Nathan Burton by 8.6, Martin Buchan 9.3, Aiden Carter by 14, and obviously Aiden's going to have to get through these two as well. That's a big slide for Buchan going to Casanova.
Neil Harris in the pits too, along with Aaron Daly. So they're getting their stops.
Oh, that's a big off. Is that Buchan? Almost on a big off there, Abby at all. I think it's Martin Buchan.
I think you're right. I can't.
It is
see
Buchan.
Martin
Buchan's
anymore.
off.
Yeah, as Aiden goes up to P3. So once again, let's have a quick look at that for you. There's going to be incidents like, if this happens to a few drivers, then it's going to make Aiden's life a little bit easier. So as we come through here, take it away,
through
John.
Savelli into Arrabbiata, and here we go, and he's just snapped back on it.
He touched the inside curb. He had two wheels over that inside curb, and it's at such an aggressive angle that it just bites. The car does not like to touch it whatsoever.
To second lap out of the pit, tyre temp not having the heat in the tyres to get the
It could
grip.
be tyre temper. It's almost like maybe because he's had so many laps on the worn tyres and not had that bite, he's just turned in and got more grip than he even expected.
At the same time, Nathan Burton's done a personal best lap of the race of 34.5.
I have no idea what just happened.
I just heard a noise.
And okay.
I have no idea what just happened. There's been a noise of some description.
Yeah.
The leaders are unaffected. Martin Buckensby joined in 4th place. He's just over 5 seconds behind Aidan Campbell. John Dean Smith holding firm in a personal best first sector of the race for John Dean Smith. Now on those nicer tyres. We'll hopefully in the next couple of weeks get some tyre info for you.
So Neil tried to go toilet, I believe, and disaster is what I've heard.
Oh no!
So-
Oh Neil, you've done all the hard work. Right. Oh no! Oh.
Mugello, everyone, says Chris Wilson, just to drop the punt.
Very good. Penalty for Ashley Thornycroft. Just came through on the screen there.
Be speeding in the
Yeah,
pit
should be
lane.
as it's come based on the system. That should be pit lane speeding. So just those pit stop. So let's have a look. I'm just looking at that one because Nathan's reading in John here.
Nathan is really in John, but only by a tenth or so.
Half a second on that lap.
Half a second.
The
Okay.
gap's all the 7.777 seconds.
And Aidan does a purple final sector for 42.6.
And he's still got another, what, 6 seconds to make up on Nathan there. So 30.
It's doable.
Any one of the top 3 could viably win this race at this stage, but we're going to sit here for a little while and wait for it to shake itself out.
So I'm just going to have a quick look and just confirm the tyres that everybody's on.
We believe that everyone has gone to a softer compound than they started on, which means that Aidan would now be on the softs and John, Nathan and Martin would all be on the mediums. And yes, that is correct. As we would have expected, starting on the harder with a slightly shorter stint, you'd go for the soft compounds. So John Dean Smith and Nate Burton on mediums, and Martin Buchan on mediums as well. Aidan Carter is on softs, and Aaron Daly and Neil Harrison 5th and 6th both on mediums. Gareth Boyle is on softs and mediums for samples, hards for Pringle. Is that right?
Yeah.
He started on the mediums, didn't
Yeah.
he? So he started to go medium
Well,
hard.
he was going to go. I think he originally planned softs from when I spoke to him before, but I think after that stint,
I can understand that from Stuart's point of
Yeah.
view, and then mediums for Ashley Thornycroft, who's
Who's
just
serving
coming
his penalty
to serve
now,
his
yeah.
penalty.
Lovely.
Not a good lap this for
Oh.
Nathan Burton.
No. Well, you say not a good lap. I think they're just all blisteringly quick, and Martin just goes quicker than all 3 of them.
34.3 for John Dean Smith, 35.0 for Nathan
Lost
Burton.
7 tenths. Sorry, I was looking at this.
And where's
sector.
Aidan? What's Aidan on this lap? We don't know.
deleted
It's
lap
track limit,
time.
but he's lost his 14 seconds. That gap's gone out a bit, so I don't think he took anything out of John that time around. I mean, 35 minutes, it's just over a minute and a half a lap. We're still looking at probably a good 23, 24 laps left here. Long way to go. But again, I really don't want to tempt fate here. But we're 55 minutes in, and John hasn't put a foot wrong yet.
No. I have to say, I'm very impressed with his drive so far. He's had a lot thrown at him today.
He has, and he's doubled it admirably, and he's got a good gap. 8.6 seconds now. It's actually gone out a bit to Nathan. Fastest middle sector of the race from John Dean Smith there, and he's doing a really good job.
Jerry Donaldson, solid race from Neil so far. Samples on the move. It was a solid race from Neil until whatever disaster struck going to the toilet. But yeah, definitely good shout out for Neil.
Thomas Samples into the pits. I did not already served his.
No, that was Thornycroft that had the penalty, not Samples.
Okay, maybe he's just coming to
I
serve
think
his. We're still within the window.
No, I
thought
don't think
he already-
Samples has pit yet. I think that's what.
Well, he has now.
Yeah, he has now.
Right, okay. But yeah, John's extending his lead here.
Purple middle sector, yeah, really.
Purple middle sector, the gap on the timing towers up to more than 9. So 34.1 for John. That's his best lap of the race so far. New tyres, softer compound. You'd expect them to be quick. Nathan in response across the line now 34.9. What about Aidan? 34.0, so only a tenth quicker than John Dean Smith. He's 14 seconds behind, going to get past Nathan. So, I mean, how many laps are we going to have left? Probably about 22, 23. So 14 seconds. Aidan needs to take an average, probably about 6-7 tenths of a second a lap out of
it's a
John
big
for
ask.
the rest of the race in order to win it. And he's got to get past Nathan as
And
well.
we know how good those mediums are.
That doesn't mean, the bear in mind Aidan's on the soft. That doesn't mean he can't do it.
No.
That's definitely,
But we know how good
I'm
the
not
mediums
unrealistic.
are that John's on from the stint that Aidan put in.
yeah.
They're a very strong race tyre.
John is absolutely flying now compared to Nathan. The gap's up to nearly 10 seconds. Nathan, I don't think, has got
no.
the grip or the
Initially,
capability
yes,
to respond.
but as the stint has gone on, no. But yeah, I mean, Nathan's drive is very quick, it must be said. It's just John's found another gear.
Again, Nathan doesn't quite have the pace of John, but he hasn't essentially done anything wrong, has he?
Well, John's basically matching Aiden at the moment in like the middle sector on the worst tyres. So I think just has to be said, John's putting in a smashing job.
Absolutely brilliant job with 33 minutes to go. Martin Buchan after that off at Arabiata 1 is now 7 seconds behind Aidan Carter in 4th place. It's not been the day that he would have wanted. So I think, yeah, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern, I think, for the next maybe 10 minutes or so of this race to see how these gaps develop. Whether, I think mainly Aidan Carter being realistic, beats down John Dean Smith. A little bit of a slower lap that time for John. 35.1. 34.4 for Aidan. That's a bit more like it. The gap's still more than 13 seconds. Long way to go, but that's the kind of gap that he needs every lap for the rest of the race to have a chance of winning it at the end.
Bringing the gap down to just 3 seconds to Nathan as well, or 3.7 seconds to Nathan now. So the pressure is now on the top two, and how are they going to cope? Now, just so looking at this, John would still be in the lead, surely, even with Aidan's penalty. Without Aidan's penalty.
Well, obviously Aidan served his penalty.
Yeah.
The gaps, he needs to take about 6-7 tenths out a lap the rest of the race. He did 7 tenths last time out, that's about right. There's two things that spring to mind. First of all, a couple of laps ready to get past Nathan can be decisive.
Yeah.
Secondly, Aidan's going to start putting some quick laps in. I can see him fairly soon probably start putting in a lot of 33s.
Yeah. Well,
and then that's going to put pressure on John to try and keep it in the...
Nathan now lapping faster than John as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to then put pressure on John to try and keep it into the low to mid 34s. Just to try and stem the gap. So this isn't going to be a last half hour that can have lots of wham bam banging on action. But it's going to be watching the split, watching the times and everything. This is not over. We have 3 viable winners of this race with half an hour to go. More surprisingly, none of them are Martin Buchan.
John Dean Smith is catching Aaron Daly to lap up to 5th place. Just to show you the domination.
After just over an hour.
Yeah. It's very impressive.
Aidan took 8 tenths out of John that time round. John did 35.0, Nathan 34.7, Aidan 34.2. I think Aidan within a couple of laps is going to be going into the 33s.
Yeah. Maybe Aidan was just nursing those tyres in, knowing that they're a little bit more fragile than those mediums. It's so easy to overheat the front left.
I'm starting to come to the conclusion that Aidan's choice to go for a softer compound than the other 3, a race-winning one. It may prove to be a race-winning one.
30 minutes to go.
Yeah, a long way to go, but I think if Aidan wins this from here, I think the tyre choice has probably proved to be the right one. If he wins this with a 10-second penalty,
Aidan's got to overtake John.
And Nathan.
We know that John from the touring car series is not easy to overtake.
No.
So, you know, pace is one thing, like catching is one thing, passing is quite another. But yeah, anything can happen in this one.
John's quite wide.
It's quite wide, yes.
Virtually.
Let's
emphasise that.
emphasise that,
John
yes.
is quite wide.
Yes. Nathan has kept that gap down though to 9.1 seconds, so he's basically, I mean, he's lapping faster than John as well.
On again, 35.0 for John that time. We wait for Nathan to come to the line. We're watching our leader right now. So here comes Nathan any second now, 35.0 again. What about Aidan? 34.2, another 8 tenths. So he's doing the pace that he needs to do.
What a disgustingly quick final sector.
So just to emphasise what Grant's saying while he gets too excited, John did a 43.3 in the last sector, Nathan 43.4, the 42.9. That's worth mentioning, that last sector is very, very long. The second sector line is just after Arabiata 2, so you've got Scarperia, Pelagio, Correntaio, Beyond Betty Bacini. It's a very, very long, it's nearly as long as the first 2 sectors put together. I think we should have the BSB system of having 5 sectors. I watched, just as we got a little bit below, I watched BSB qualifying at Donington the other week. Donington GP, and they split it into 5 sectors. Now, Sector 2 was at, I think, between McLean's and going into Coppice. So the section of starting straight, the the S's and the Melbourne Loop and Goddards was split into another 3 sectors.
Interesting.
More sectors. Is this like when they tried to do the Devil Take the Hindmost qualifying in F1 and they had all those mini sectors?
Yes.
That was like VAR, a very good idea that I still approve of, executed spectacularly badly.
Yeah, it was odd how F1 handled that.
Yeah, I still think the concept of that has been.
Yeah.
This is the great thing about this race. It's taken us an hour to go on one of our wandering conversations. That proves how good this race has been.
It's a cool thing. Unfortunately, we can't implement it into the software, but it would be cool.
Yeah, it was.
If you're listening, our Factor 2, give me the opportunity to add more sectors.
We've got 8 weeks till the next race. See to it. Just as a good point to reference, actually, so the next round of this championship is Istanbul, which should be an absolute belter of these cars. Sunday, the 28th of July. So, a lot of us going off on holiday.
I just want to put in a word for Thomas Samples putting in a personal best lap a few laps ago, 130, well, last lap, 138.960.
Yeah, good call. Aidan Carter continues to reel in both of the people in front of me. He's just over 10 seconds behind John Dean Smith now. And I think, yeah, getting past Nathan here, if it holds him up a couple of seconds, a lot more pressure on.
Yeah. The tricky one. It's going to be so close. I mean, there's 27 minutes left of the race, and Aidan's already at Nathan, who himself is only 8 seconds now off of John. So Nathan's not slow. I mean, if Nathan follows Aidan, following to the front.
I mean, I don't know whether John had traffic last time, but his last lap was a 35.7. Now that's not quick enough.
He was
I don't know.
behind
Did he have traffic?
He was behind Aaron.
That was getting past Aaron.
So, and that was in the final sector, which isn't the, but again, not a great place.
In sector 1 and 2 times, he's lost what, 2 tenths to Aidan in sector 1. He's lost 2 in sector 2, which is more like what we would. This is going to be close.
It is close.
This is going to be really, really close. So Nathan is in a bit of a Mexican Minister of Defence situation.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those ones where we're going to have to wait for it, but when it gets here, it's going to be spectacular. But I think next lap, Aidan's going to be in with a hope of attacking Nathan.
Colin and Mrs. Talbot, if you are here with us watching, I know you like to go and put the kettle on. Now's the time to do it. Make sure you're with us in about 10 minutes.
Well, you say that.
Oh yeah, and you, Chris, if you need to give Genevieve a change, yeah, do it now. Make sure you're with us for the last 10-15 minutes. Do it now.
So yes, apologies for not showing the rest of the field, but it is rather spread out between the rest of the cars on track, as you can see on the timing board. So we will be keeping an eye on the front of the field for now, especially with Aidan catching Nathan as quickly as they are.
Can we at least highlight Neil, sorry I didn't wash my hands, Harris, in 6th place, despite his...
John being massively held up by
Stuart Pringle.
That's...
It was in sector 3, so we'll see the sector 3 time.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else Stuart could have done there, though.
It's such a bad track for traffic and everything. Saxon Ring's going to be fun. If you think this bad, Saxon Ring, which is in August, 18th of August, is going to be a nightmare.
Evil championship organiser.
Everyone, I'm going to Saxon Ring MotoGP before we do that, and that's going to be worse.
Neil Harris has just put in a personal best first sector.
Got some hand sanitizer. No, all fair play to Neil here. I should point how much time John losing in that sector. He lost a second to Aidan. So John 7.3 clear of Nathan, 8.2 clear. Sorry, 7.2 clear of Nathan, 8.2 clear of Aidan. But Neil Harris in 6th place done a really, really good job despite his pit stop indiscretion. He's got 18 seconds. Gareth Boyle. Not going to go forward from 6th because he's over a minute behind Aaron. But yeah, done a really good, steady job. Here he is, coming into Corinthians. And yeah, fair play to him in that Corvette. Let's hope he can keep it going with the remaining, 24 minutes of this race to go.
Yeah.
So we're now getting to the point where Aidan is going to have to think about how he's going to overtake Nathan.
Yes.
And if this takes, Stuart's gone off at Arabiata and Sue, he's kept out the play, that's good. Coming to Scarpery and Pelagio, there's still 2 more. Who have we got there? We've got Gareth there, Aaron's there. It's a veritable smorgasbord.
So John's had to get through all of this. Hence
Which that would explain the lap times, yeah.
So now it depends on how quickly these guys get through. So Aaron, I have
These next
to
few
say,
minutes, these are really important.
Aaron and Gareth are not battling on track. Aaron is trying to lap Gareth. I just want to exemplify that. That's not a battle.
Aaron is, well, this is Aaron going 2 laps down, Gareth going, oh no, Aaron
going 1 lap down and Gareth going
2 laps down, yeah. Aaron's got out of the way. Aaron's got out of the way of both of them.
Yeah.
Which ensures that he doesn't get sacked. And, oh, Gareth's seen them coming as well. Well, yeah, no, well done both of you.
Awesome.
Well done both of you. Common sense prevails, so well done Aaron and Gareth. It is a full bracket.
So they did lose a bit of time. The gap on the last lap was about 6.4 seconds. This time around it is 7 seconds. So
23 minutes left.
But
So how many laps that's going to be?
lapped
I mean, laps that's going to be about 14, 15.
And Nathan's just putting in a personal best in Sector 1 as well. So he's showing he still has pace, and it was faster than Aiden that time as well.
Was. These 2, 3, it's going to take Aiden 2, 3, 4 laps to get past Nathan. Might give John the
well, has Nathan just been holding back on pace? Has Nathan been saving the tyres?
Well, the rest of this lap tells a lot, because he has definitely, you can see visibly, has pulled away from he's taken nearly half a second out in the first 2 sectors.
And took a bunch of time out of John in front.
All coming together as 22 minutes to go. We're now into the
Are
final,
the softs going off?
the final quarter of this race. Well, it could be. It's only been, what, 20 minutes since the pit stop, but then Aiden made mediums last very, very well.
Yeah. But was very aggressive in that early stage of this stint. And those softs do not like being overheated. They really don't like being overheated. Interesting. See what Aiden does in Sector 3.
Sorry, I know we're probably not being as communicative as we should be, but I think we're both quite excited about what's to come.
So the gap back down to 8/10 of a second now. Slightly faster final sector for Aiden. So we'll see if Aiden can clock together a better lap this time round.
But they were
gap
both
down to 6.5 seconds.
They were both still quicker than John last time round. John did a 34.9, so he has upped his pace having got through that traffic. Nathan 34.4, Aiden 34.7.
So 20
coming together.
Yeah. So a bit of a faster first sector for John that time round, only losing 1/10 to Aiden, and he was actually a tenth faster than Nathan that time around. So let's see in the sector 2 times as well, because these are key.
There's obviously the possibility that John might be just trying to save a little bit of time for the end. We don't know. We're going to find out. But John might be just trying to hold a steady pace around a sort of high 34, 35 dead. Just trying. There's not much in between in this lap.
You wouldn't blame him for it.
No, absolutely.
It's a smart decision, to be fair.
New common tyre towards Beyond Betty again, just over 20 minutes. Fascinating race. Absolutely fascinating.
Like, the gap is coming down quite quickly, it must be said. But
there's not been too much difference on this lap.
No.
I think these lap times into this lap are very interesting. John's going to cross the line any second now.
Yeah.
35.1. Nathan and Aiden here following. Aiden's going to get a bit of a toe, but I don't think being close enough to overtake. 34.8, 34.5. So the gap, John's lead now down to just over 6 seconds.
So it's just half a second now, Aiden to Nathan. Are they working together instead of battling? I don't know. I don't know what their game plan is.
That's bullying. That's not fair. No, I'm only joking. I don't know. This is the thing with, obviously, with so many Barracuda drivers. They do obviously try and cooperate with each other in terms of not fighting to the two hole on the
track.
But
this wouldn't have been in the game plan. Like, they wouldn't. How would they? I mean,
let's be honest. The game plan went out the window the moment both of the drivers we're watching here went off at the first corner.
Yeah.
Ultimately, and it's the same thing we said at Atlanta. Aiden won the race, and he was the only one of the 4 that didn't have a big off.
Yeah.
And out of the 4 that we're looking at here, oh, Nathan's gone. He's going to take out. Well, that eliminates Nathan. I was just about to say, John's the only one of the 4 that's not been off. We've just seen there, Nathan was too hard through Arabiata 2, and that has removed Nathan from the equation for the win.
But
it is a duel now.
Aiden lost 0.4 of a second in the middle sector, and I think that's reacting to Nathan.
Yeah, the second sector was just over that crest, come out of Arabiata 2 towards Scarperia, so that would make sense. So here we go then, Aiden Carter, clear air, 7 seconds. under 19 minutes to go, so based on lap times, that's going to be about maybe 12 laps. So he's still looking for sort of, on average, probably 5 getting off to 6/10 of a second a lap just to catch him. And then he's got to pass him. 7.4 at the line because of the time that he lost. AP Nathan Burton. Burton has rejoined, by the way. He's still comfortably third. He's still, I think, he crossed the line, so he's still 10 seconds ahead of Martin Buchan. So Burton has rejoined third, and I think he will probably be driving now just to try and consolidate that podium finish. Here's a replay. Nathan Burton through Albriata one little bit wide on the curve. Has he taken too much to the curb?
It's a lot.
No, he's done too wide.
Gets a tyre on the grass, I think, and then the second tyre on the grass.
I mean, let's be faced. If you're taking Aiden out there, that was the win.
Yeah.
If you're taking Aiden out there, that was the win for John right there. First sector, Aiden only taking just under a 10th out of John on this lap. Coming up to the second sector now is Aiden Carter. Arbiata 2. This is where the second sector line is, and he's found another 2/10.
Ashley Thorncroft 24.8 in sector 1.
Good play, good work there, actually.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Good to see, getting used to the car a bit more.
Yeah, and this is the thing with your new drivers, an hour and a half of track time during a race, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable at the end of the race than you do at the start. So, did a personal best there, 1:38.4. Also, good effort. We will remain focused on our leaders. 17 minutes to go. This could. Aiden's going to have to go on one of his rampages.
But I do want to do a quick shout out to Aaron Daly, who's probably the loneliest driver in the world at the moment, being 88 seconds off of Martin and 69 seconds ahead of Nick. Although Stuart Pringle is 91 seconds behind Gareth and 37 seconds ahead of Thomas.
Very good last sector from Aiden Carter there. He took 7/10 out of John on that lap.
And Nathan puts in a personal best as well, as if to say, I am fast.
I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Still here.
But and 5 seconds off of P2 now. So we didn't lose too much, really, in the grand scheme of things, Nathan.
No.
It could have been a lot worse.
Aiden is, I think, going to catch John. Probably with about maybe 5 or 6 minutes to go.
The gap's not come down, though, for a while.
Well, it came down 7/10 on that lap.
Did it?
Yes. 34.8 for John, 34.1 for Aiden.
7 seconds 2 laps ago.
Well, he lost a bit because of Aiden's
Yeah.
off. So I'm just comparing it to that. 0.6. But 1/10 for Aiden in the first sector. Actually lost slightly in the second sector. But through sector 3, the longer one, 2 constant radius corners towards the end of Corentin and Bacchini. I think that's where Aiden does seem to be finding a lot of time with the grip with the softs. I think he's going to catch him. But how long, whether he's going to have enough time to pass him,
Yeah, that's
I don't know. This is on. This is going to be such a brilliant finale.
It's I don't know who to choose, to be honest. I don't know who to pick. But if either of them win it, they've both deserved it. For very different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I want to see this third sector time, see if, Aiden, quarter of a second. He's only taken 3/10 out. That's not enough. He needs more than that. I'm going to get my count and try and do some very quick picking calculations. But they're doing, 94, 95 second laps, and it's going to be 900. I reckon, including the lap we're on, we've got 11 laps to go.
Okay.
So 11 laps, 6.4, 6.3 seconds. So you're looking at, you're still looking at nearly 6/10 of a second.
2/10 out of him in sector 1 alone.
Yeah, so I know we're supposed to be talking
Yes.
through this, but we're both sat here absolutely fascinated.
We're such nerds.
This is the Simply Race equivalent of Suzuka 1989. I hope it doesn't end in the same way.
Well, Aiden matches John in sector 2. It's a very good sector 2 from John.
John's responded here. John's put a good couple of laps in. He's back down well into the 34s. John has been holding a bit back, but Aiden under a bit of pressure. But this is absolutely brilliant to watch.
I don't know if John's done the maths and is thinking, right, that gap's coming down a bit quicker than I'd like it. Time to use some tyres.
The problem is John normally has a sort of solution for doing maths when he needs maths, but I'm sitting here and I can't help. Let's have a look at the lap times down there. 34.5 for John's a very, very good time. 34.1 for Aiden is even better. The gap is 6 seconds. and by my count, we have 10 laps to go.
That was 4 tenths that lap, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're 95-second laps, and they crossed the line with about 840 seconds to go.
John is coming up to a lot of traffic. He's got Thornycroft.
Straight out the way, well done, Ashley, and then Neil.
Harris.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody's been particularly bad for traffic today. It's just, again, while we're talking Mugello, it's just been unfortunate. So I hope Neil, who doesn't need a wee, is going to be looking at his mirrors. And we'll see out the way because we've got through Abrialta 2.
Well,
John, you can see John pushing on there through Abrialta 2, really pushing on indeed.
Another only 2 tenths lost in that first sector, 27.5 in the second sector, so I think he's going to lose about 4 tenths to Aiden this time round.
He's an absolute right road.
Yeah, 27.1.
Yeah, he has.
So gap's going to keep coming down.
There is
to
Aiden in the
5.5
background
seconds.
coming out of Pelagio.
This is what Aiden needed. That's exactly what Aiden needed. But Aiden's got to do the same.
Yep, Aiden's got to get past
But
as well.
Aiden's catching at a much better part of the circuit.
Hoping Neil will do the right thing and down the straight for John and then do the same halfway round the
If
following
John
lap
gets
for
a little bit of
Aiden.
slipstream, I think he'll be quite happy.
Yep, they'll get a couple of tenths here, could make all the difference as they come to the line once again with about 8 laps to go. Here they go. John 35.3, Aiden
34.2.
34.2. The gap down to less than 5 seconds. Now Neil gets out of the way of San Donato. Well done, Neil.
And Aiden is now on the tail of Thornycroft.
Ashley gets out of the way of San
exactly the
Donato.
same
Well
place.
done, Ashley.
So Aiden would have got a bit of slipstream as well there in the first sector for this lap,
gonna be
which has been called it out.
So close with 12 minutes left.
So it's 24.2 for John in sector 1, which is a pretty good one. It's 24.3 for Aiden. So
That was obviously a little bit of travel. They're both part of the same truck cars
but
at
the
the
gap
same
is
corner.
5 seconds with 11 minutes to
Make
go.
no mistake, you can see it there. John is pushing on. An hour and 18 minutes into this race. He's not put a wheel wrong.
No.
This is definitely, and obviously I have to say, quality on the table, I try and be neutral. John is a very good friend of mine, but I do try and be objective. This is the best I've seen him drive. Touring cars, Alpines, Porsches, whatever. John's always been a little bit lacking consistency here and there. He has not put, and again, I'm touching all bits of wood. Even if he doesn't win this race, I don't want to put the mockers on him again. He has not put a wheel wrong in this race.
Well, as we've said several times, whichever of the two wins this deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For very, 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 very different reasons.
I think this vindicates your decision to change the
10-second post-race penalty for Boyle, for Davis rejoin.
that's not going to make a difference because Stewart is the next car behind him and the gap is a minute and a half. So Gareth, even with that penalty, retains 7th. Lap times again. John Lee Smith, 34.7. That's a good time. Aiden's going to have to really start responding. 34.4. Not quite enough. 4.7 seconds. We've got, what, 600 seconds to go. So I'm trying to do maths in my head. I reckon we've got maybe 8 left.
So Colin
7.
says,
I think we've got 7 laps left.
Colin very quickly says, thanks Dan, I'm watching this with a beer. Andy Boyle says go 51. Sean says John deserves it so he can take up more room with trophies at home. I'm sure a certain race director will be thrilled about that.
Yes, it will. It's going to be really nice to see a load of trophies come from here and not live in Adam Christopher's boot.
Aiden has got past Neil Harris as well this lap. So I agree.
Honours even through sector 1.
Middle sector might be a little bit slower.
10 minutes
Aiden.
to go.
Yeah, 27.3.
John's coming up to lap. Is that Thomas?
It is Thomas, yeah.
Thomas. No, okay, that's fair enough. He might have lost a tenth or two there, but that was.
But Aiden did anyway.
Yeah. Second sector, John might actually a tenth quicker there.
I think because Aiden had to pass Neil in sector 2, which isn't ideal. But yeah, so
135, 930. So I'm just sorry, I know I'm doing math, but so John's going to come to the line this time. By my count, we've got 6 laps to go as John comes to the line.
I think that Aiden's running out of time.
I think so, because when the gap's still nearly 5 seconds, John 34.9. Aiden 34.6. The gap's 4.4. 6 laps to go. So that's about 3/4.
A big final sector from Aiden.
That's about 3/4 of a second a lap with 6 to go.
That was a very big final sector. 43.0 for Aiden there. Like 4 tenths quicker than John. absolutely flying in that final sector.
Who says 10 cars can't make a motor race? Absolutely brilliant. John Dean Smith back in through the first sector. Aiden faster, but by less than a tenth. It's not enough. He needs to be taking consistently 2-3 tenths a sector. You can see how hard he's pushing on those soft tyres. It's certainly not for the want of trying for Aiden Carter.
I mean,
But with every sector, it's like it's slowly just moving back towards John Dean Smith. Second sector time's coming through. John's quicker. I think you might be right, Grant. I think Aiden might not have the tyre for this anymore. Going to be 5 to go at the end of this lap by my count. And Aiden's not taking enough time. He's slower than John through the first 2 sectors of this lap.
Which is
through
the
beyond
first
Betty
time
again.
for a while, isn't it? That's been the case. Although saying that, I think he was faster in sector 1. He was just about.
Only marginally, then slower than that in sector 2.
Yes.
So John for the first 2 sectors lap, a few hundreds ahead. Here he comes to the line. It's going to be 5 laps to go. Another look at the lap times. 34.6 for John. Good lap. Aiden. 34.2. Great last sector. 5 laps, 4 seconds, 8 tenths a lap.
I mean, it seems like John is losing a bit of confidence in that final corner because every lap consistently now we've seen Aiden take a huge chunk out from there.
Yeah, I think we do need to remember, Grant, that obviously the last sector is a lot longer than the first 2.
It is, but I think a lot of it is down to how they take the final corner. If you watch Aiden take the final corner, it's a much later apex, and Aiden is able to carry so much more speed going onto the start-finish
As
straight.
we said, those 2, Correntine and Bacchini, those 2 long constant radius corners, we've got the softer tyre. That's what the 2 corners on the track.
In sector 1 alone.
Those are the 2 on the track that are going to make the big difference.
3.8 is the gap.
With Arabiata here. So here we come to the second sector now.
27.3 for John. 27.2 for Aiden.
The thing is, these are good gains at this stage of the race. That's not enough.
Well,
it's not enough.
Let's wait for the final sector, because
if it's another 4 tenths, then it might just about be enough. But ultimately, at the moment, it's going to be 4 to go at the end of this lap.
And the thing is, Aiden's going to be willed on by seeing John getting closer and closer.
I can see it, but it's the whole thing of catching him's one thing, passing him's quite another. Can he close the gap? I think he might be able to, but can he pass him? But he might not be able to get the run down the
corner slipstream dash.
It could be. Well, here we go. So lap times this time. 4 laps to go. I think we're fairly certain that now with 6 minutes left.
Final sector for John.
34.5, 34.1, 3.6. Aiden now needs 9 tenths of a second a lap. Personal best last sector for John Dean Smith.
What a response.
Great response.
Gareth Boyle puts in a personal best 24.5 in sector 1.
There's a very brief mention. Actually, Thornycroft's actually moved ahead of Thomas Samples. I don't know if there's been Thomas has had an off there, but there has been a change for 9th place. I know we've not focused on the guys towards the rear of the field too much today.
There was a yellow in sector 2 for quite some time, so I imagine it was.
So there's been, to be honest, it's been such an intense battle at the front of the field. We've not really had the time. So apologies to those guys at the front.
Focus on the gaps when they're that big.
No.
Unfortunately.
3 tenths for Aiden, first sector. Second sector coming up now.
But that's a good middle sector for John.
Another 10th.
Like a 27.1 at this phase, I think is a really
We're at a point now where Aiden's now looking for a second a lap. He's going to get, again, I'm trying to do the maths. Apologies if I got it wrong, but by my count, doing 134 laps, it's going to be 3 laps to go.
Well, can John
at the end of this lap
do that final sector? I think that's going to be the key of it, personally. I think that's what's going to make or break this race for John.
Into Bacchini once
He's
again.
Starting to take a slightly later apex, is John. I've just noticed it that time when he went round there.
Here they come to the line. 3 laps to go. Look at the lap times again. They're both being well into the 34s, I would imagine. 34, 34.7, 34.1. 3 seconds the gap. 3 laps to go. I can't believe this. I'm bearing in mind, what would, if Aiden hadn't had his penalty, he'd be 7 seconds ahead right now.
He'd still have had to pass John, though.
He would have, that's true. That's a very good point.
And John would have probably driven this phase of the race very differently. You've got to drive to what's happening.
Honours pretty much even in the first sector. Aiden just taking out a few hundredths. John Dean Smith Just need to keep doing what he's doing. Going to put Aiden under a lot of pressure. Aiden's going to have to do something very, very special here on some very warm, soft tyres. They've done about 40 minutes of racing. If he's going to get this over the line. 2.5 laps to go.
Are you looking forward to the podium interviews?
Yes. I've worked out what I'm going to say. Yeah, I don't know who I'm going to be talking to. Into Corinthio. Only 2/10 for Aiden. Again, it's not like he's not driving very well. He is, but at this stage of the race for the gap, it's not enough. And John is managing this very, very well.
John has slightly changed his style a little bit, and it's a lot closer to Aiden's style in the corners, taking much later apexes in those longer corners, being able to carry a lot more speed.
Lovely spot, Grant. It's going to be 2 to go at the line. Looking good for John Dean Smith to win this race. Hasn't put a foot wrong over the line. 34.6. Aiden 34.1. It's half a second, but the gap's still 2.5 with 2 laps to go.
Sean says, come on, John, don't let Aiden catch you.
Into Luco and Poggio Secco for the penultimate time of what has been big slide by John into Poggio Secco.
10-second penalty for Harris, unsafe rejoin.
Is that because he didn't wash his hands?
Could be.
John pushing on again. He's got a cushion though. Aiden's still chasing him down into Casanova and Savelli. And then back to the Arabiatas. A lap and a half to go. What a 90 minutes of racing this has been.
And whilst it might not have been that sizzling in terms of on-track action, I mean, we've had great overtakes, but the tension...
I mean, this is what endurance racing should be like. You should have the finishes like this. It's not about... It's not meant to be a Moto 3 or a Moto 2 racing being all kinds of slipstreaming act and everything. This is what it should be like, and this is absolutely delivered. There is one of the... Is that Gareth or Stewart? He's coming up to lap. Through Biondetti, so a lap and a corner to go. Not that Eden has not really made up any ground on this lap. Into Bacine. Penalty for Martin Buchan. It's not going to make any difference. He's going to be 4th anyway. That'll be track limits. And here comes John Dean Smith with 1:25 on the clock to start the last lap. That doesn't look like 2.6 seconds.
It's
1.9. It's just under 2 seconds. 33.9. Aiden Carter get within 400th of the fastest lap of the race.
42.6 in the final sector. Aiden's like,
the last lap.
Go for it.
Luco. Poggio Secco. John still pushing on.
Yellow in sector 2. And it's clear.
Another left-right. Materassi. Orco San Lorenzo. Over the crest, the highest point of the track. Now we drop downhill. Casanova and then Savelli.
Where's John going to catch Gareth, if he's going to catch Gareth?
Not going to catch him probably until at least Corinthio. Through the Arabiatas. Okay. 1 and then 2.
They set exactly the same first sector time.
Less than half a lap to go. Then over the crest into Scarperia. Then the left-hander of Pelagio. I'm not sure John is going to catch Gareth for the end of the race, you know.
I think John's just had his
Aiden
lap time.
is closing in through Corinthio. 3 corners to go for John Dean Smith, who hasn't put a wheel wrong for the whole race. The left and the right are Biondetti. Just Bacine to go. The gap's down to 1.2, but Aiden's not going to be close enough. I don't think he's going to catch Gareth. John Dean Smith gone very, very wide indeed. The clock runs out. He's done a superb job. He might not be the first we thought we were going to win. What a superb job. 90 minutes in Mugello. Simply Race Sprint Series round 2. John Dean Smith takes it.
Smith wins the
by
race.
just under 1.3 seconds from Aiden Carter.
Wow. I think one more lap. John lost a lot of time.
Absolutely superb drive. Given John Dean Smith did track limits, I think his lap time of the last lap was mid-35s.
Yeah.
Just looking at the gap, because it was a 1:34.3 that Aiden did. Nathan Burton, we wait to cross the line in 3rd place. Then Martin Buchan will be 4th, he'll be the last one on the lead lap. The penalty is not going to make a great deal of difference. Here is Martin Buchan coming through Bacine now.
Well, we'll see what the system thinks of his little penalty, shall we? It might drop him behind Aaron, you don't know.
Aaron is also lapped down, so he crosses the line. Okay, now Aaron Daly is going to finish in 5th place.
Behind.
Then Neil Harris 6th, did a personal best lap right at the end of the race there, so fair play to him there. As far as his pit stop indiscretion, but a really good performance by Neil, very consistent all the way through. Gareth Ball, Stuart Pringle, Ashley Thornycroft and Thomas Samples all having their different travails at different points of the race, but all doing generally a good job, and also overall doing a reasonable good job of keeping out of the way. I think we can breathe now, Grant. What an absolute cracker.
Oh, Gareth spins on the final lap.
I don't think that's going to affect, no, because Stuart is well over a minute behind, so it's not going to affect position for Gareth. He spins at Biondetti.
Yeah,
there's Stuart. Stuart's already crossed the line, so yeah, no difference there for Gareth in 7th.
I think we're just waiting for Gareth to cross the line, and then I think everyone has completed their final lap. But yes, wow, that was a nail biter, to put it mildly, shall we say.
I mean, I can't remember a touring car race we've had like that. That is genuinely one of the most tense races I've had the pleasure of commentating on over the last couple of years I've been here.
We've had some great battles in the touring cars, but that was a different kind of battle as well.
That was a nice.
It was almost like a qualifying shootout at the end there.
Yeah, nice slow builder that one, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, but great job.
So there's your results. Right, go on.
Great job to the top 2. Shout out to Nathan as well for putting one over on Martin Buchan despite that spin in the second stint. Aaron Daly takes home with P5. Neil Harris P6, Gareth Boyle P7, P8 for Stuart Pringle, so I think Gareth will be happy to have beaten his teammate. Ashley on his debut takes P9, so good job for him. And Thomas Samples in P10.
That's great. Thank you all very much for joining us. Do stay with us. We've got some. We will be live streaming from the podium this time. Grant's got his box of toys out, so we can have a chat with the top 3, and we'll show you those in a few minutes. Don't forget, next round of the Simply Race Sprint Series is coming up at Istanbul Park, Sunday, the 28th of July, so 8 weeks from now. We hope you can join us for that. So do stay with us. We're with you with the finishers, the top 3 finishers on the podium in a few minutes. But John D. Smith soaks up the pressure, Maiden Carter, and wins the 90 minutes Mugello by less than 1.3 seconds. Place, Teams Big Blazers, Gareth Boyle and Stuart Pringle. Well done, Gareth. Well done, Stuart. Take your third place on the podium. In second place is Barracuda, Nathan Burton and Martin Buchan. And your team's winners, and we'll get the trophy, is Onidex Barracuda, 1-2 finish, Aidan Carter and John Dean Smith. There you go, guys. There is your top three in the team's classification for a very tense and very exciting and entertaining race at Mugello. Handshakes and the photos being taken. So thank you all very much for that. If you'd all very kindly like to clear off for the driver's presentation. I'm not a very nice man, Martin. Martin, of course, you finished fourth. Martin, you finished fourth, so you can go home now. So the driver's presentation. In third place is Nathan Burton. Well, Nath. A valiant runner-up, missing out by just 1.288 seconds, was Aidan Carter. Well done, Aidan. And soaking up all the pressure for his first Sprint Series win, John Dean Smith. Well done, John. Right, I'll speak to the three drivers. I'm going to get out the way. There we go. Right, I'll speak to you, Nathan, first, because you had a very good, steady, consistent first half of the race, coming out of the pits, and then a bit of the off at Arrabbiata at the top of the hill.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Martin in the pit, but I managed to jump in and then jumped in when he had his penalty. And then, yeah, I was just being consistent, slowly catching John. I didn't think it was enough, but yeah, then I think I kept my foot in, went a little bit wide, kept my foot in, and it just spun me around.
Is this a particular hard track for consistency, being all hard and medium speed corners and probably quite hard on tyres as well?
We managed to get the tyre wear quite consistent, but yeah, it is quite difficult, especially in these cars.
Okay, well, congratulations, Nathan. We'll see you next time at Istanbul. We will move on to our runner-up. I'm going to turn around so I don't trip myself over the lead. Aidan, well, obviously you lost by 1.3 seconds. You did get a 10-second penalty. Just discuss that from your perspective.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's a fair 10-second penalty. I thought I was clear of Nathan. Obviously, I wasn't. Caused a bit of an incident. I think only me and Nathan really got affected by it mainly. But yeah, it's deserved. I'm not too worried about it. I'm more annoyed at myself for spinning in the middle of the race. That's, I think, what cost me. So yeah, one of those things.
Obviously, chasing down John on the soft tyres, not quite getting the gap that you needed. Were you running out of tyre towards the end because just pushing the softs a bit too hard because of the gap you needed to make up?
A little bit, yes. I think more overheating than anything. I think I still had some tyre left that I could have used. I think I'm naturally a bit kinder on the tyres, so it soft was viable for me. But yeah, I think it's just a case of John just had enough pace to hold me off. I don't think there's really much done to catch him, really.
There's still solid points in the championship with the win in a second, and then Istanbul coming up next.
Yeah, Istanbul. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I think that will suit the Lambo again as well. So it's going to be a good track, good for racing as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to Istanbul.
Brilliant. Congratulations, Aidan. 37 points out of 40. And now, the man who, as far as I could see, managed to get through an hour and a half and didn't put a wheel wrong, John. Well done.
Yeah, I did put a wheel wrong here or there, but it didn't affect me too much.
It's okay, we didn't see it on air.
Oh, that's good. I probably shouldn't have said that then. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was that was quite intense. I'm quite moist. I was watching the the timing screen because as soon as Aidan cleared Nathan, I knew that it was going to be a matter of time rather than not, and if not when. Yeah, and to win by the 1.3 seconds, I'll take that because yeah, it's 10-second penalty in the incident that he had at the beginning as well, and then I know he had a couple of issues coming through as well, so. I'll take that and I'll run. Was it a case of managing the gap, or was it a case of just go flat out and hope you got enough at the end? Yeah, no, that was flat out. Hope I've got enough at the end. That was full send for the entire stint. I knew I'd be fine on fuel. It was more just a question of can I save the mediums to get all the way to the end without it becoming an issue. The fact that I was sat pretty much doing within half a second of my fastest lap for near enough the entire stint. I knew that I could make it to the end on that set of tyres, regardless of the degradation on them. Yeah, it was just a case of absolutely flat out, hope to God he doesn't catch me.
And obviously, given drivers like Aidan and Martin, everything Is this unexpected? Is it a bit of a surprise for you?
God, yeah. If you'd have told me I was going to win this today, I'd have laughed you out of the room. watching these guys in practice and the times that they were doing, apart from Martin, who only showed up today, but that's standard procedure. Watching the timings that even Nathan was doing as well, I was looking at this race thinking, I can settle for P4. That'll be okay. To come out and win it, yeah, completely unexpected.
That's great. Well, congratulations, John, and for our podium finishers here, that pretty much wraps it all up here from Simply Race for the second round of the Simply Race Sprint Challenge. John Dean Smith, your winner from Aidan Carter, and Nathan Burton here at Mugello. We will see you in 8 weeks' time, Sunday the 28th of July. In the meantime, we can come and have a go in the Sims. Log on to simplyrace.co.uk and book yourself a session. But from Dan McCallow, Grant Lyman, and all the drivers here, we'll see you in July, Istanbul.